introduce yourself.
Ah, my name is Benedict. I'm a professional magician. Recently started social media. Things went crazy. So we are hitting it pretty hard. We post twice a day right now. But yeah, just a magician doing doing my thing, enjoying magic, enjoying life. That's all good.
Now, I specifically remember when I first came across you. I think it was I was watching you do one of your ambitious card routines, and then I think I saw um, the way you were you're performing your Crazy Man's handcuffs, and just like
Yeah.
the just how everything was being phrased and set up. I really thought you had really awesome thinking on it, and I love the
Uh,
way you perform. So I knew instantly at that point, I was like, man, I want to talk to this guy.
Uh, no, thank you. Yeah, it's always nice when a magician is able to see and appreciate that because um, the public would enjoy it and they wouldn't know why they like it more than the others. So I've had since we started social media about 6 months ago, I've had like we get maybe recently it slowed down a bit, but there was a period where every day I get about 10 to 20 messages, direct messages in my Instagram and TikTok, and from magicians and non-magicians. And the non-magicians one is quite interesting. So uh, I got quite a few who tell me that they've been watching other magicians, but yours is the most put together. It feels good. It feels like it's a it's polished, and after seeing yours
Right.
it feel they say that they feel spoiled and they can't enjoy the others anymore. And I was just wondering why they felt that way. And I think it's because I do it professionally, and so a lot of the routines I share on social media are routines that I perform in my professional work, just perform slightly casually for the street. um,
Right.
so the routines are very well structured. I performed them hundreds or if not thousands of times already. So there is that flow to it. There's that joke or that line. Because I've already worked through them. So I think people feel that they don't know why, but they feel that. And then magicians would say what you say, which is they can appreciate the structure, the thought,
Right.
the little pattern that I have. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice when someone can appreciate the work that goes in.
It feels
Mm.
very fleshed out.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
like just from beginning to end, it really feels uh, like story wise, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that's
Yeah,
kind of how
yeah.
you want your fix to go, right? I mean,
Yes, yes. Like I try, like for example, you mentioned ambitious card and the rubber band stuff. These are like very classic things. Almost like
yeah,
most magicians perform it, and for a long time I avoided performing the ambitious card because I'm like, everyone's doing it. I'm not gonna do it, and I'm gonna do my own thing. And then once I stopped performing the ambitious card for maybe 2 years, and then after that, I'm like, okay, I think I feel confident enough to perform the ambitious card in my way. And there's not too many different methods to get to it. So the methods are pretty similar. There's maybe slight twists here and there, but as long as I felt I a part of me refuses to perform effects unless it feels like I've done some work on it. It maybe is a it's a ego thing, but it just whenever I see like a bunch of magicians doing the same thing, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I want to feel different. I, I want to feel like I've put some work into it, because I feel like I'm cheating if I just take the exact thing, do the exact same way. I'm like, the public wouldn't know this because they're not as exposed to magic. But
right.
yeah, I it's just inside. I can't stand. I can't let myself rest easy if I know that I just took something and performed it exactly word for word. I would come off the stage or come off a gig feeling quite upset with myself. So this happened the first 2 3 years when I became a professional magician, where after every gig, no matter how late it ends, like maybe a 9 10 p.m. and I would still come home and just stand on my desk with the cards in my hand and work everything out all over again, review in my mind all the things that happened, and then try to make it better, because I will get so disappointed in myself when something doesn't go as well, or I know I didn't do anything extra other than the most bare minimum, and I'll be like, oh, I'll be beating myself up for it, and that's where a lot of the thinking came from. I'm like, I'm just doing it because I haven't worked on it, and I'm doing it exactly how the creator, how it was sold, or how I've seen other magicians perform, and I can't let myself take pride in it, and I like to be proud of what I do. So yeah, that's where all of this comes from, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, isn't it those little moments though, right? Those little moments that make you think, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? And then you start
Yeah.
thinking, different things, right? You start thinking other ways to attack or other ways to approach things, that really
Yeah.
kind of that's what I've seen in you, and I've seen a lot of other magicians do that too. But some people, like you said, they just go with the normal pattern,
Yeah.
and you got to switch it up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. Yeah. I sometimes I feel bad as well saying this, because it's all right, I guess. Hobbyists, professionals, even if they just enjoy it, they just want to perform it. It's fine. It's just something in me is just I can't let myself. I'm quite hard on myself, so if I feel like I did not improve on something, I would feel really bad. So currently, there is this thing that I'm doing on my stage shows, that every time I come off stage, and it's part of my working set. I do this all the time, but every time I come off stage, I feel a slight disappointment in me, because I know I didn't work on it, and I'm doing exactly how it is. Maybe changed a few lines. I'm doing exactly what the the creator did, and it's part of my stage show. So this eats me. Yeah, it slowly eats at me every time I do the show. So that's
Now,
another
here's
thing
a
I have to work
question:
on.
is that just patter, or is it moves that you're more concerned about, like sleight of hand, or is it like
Yeah,
as long as you change the pattern, you feel like you're at least,
yeah.
making it a little bit your own?
I I think more than patter is the presentation. So
Okay.
every magician has their own quirks and their own style. Some could be pacing, some could be in terms of how lighthearted it is. There's many different factors, but one thing I that's why I removed myself from the magic community for many years now. It's been a number of years since I kind of like always keep up with the latest release, or watch other magicians perform, or even watch Penn and Teller Foolers. I haven't watched, I don't know how many seasons. In the past, I would religiously watch Penn and Teller Foolers, but the reason I stopped is because it's a thing. Like uh, it's not bad, but it's just, you can't stop yourself. When you see something great performed by a great magician, you would have this tendency to copy them. You want to be like them, and it's just normal, right? It's just any
Right.
art form. You see something good, you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I can be like that. And then you see another thing, and I wish I can be like that. And then you're just performing it the same way with the same beats, maybe some of the same jokes even. And then, but then who are you? And where does your little thing come from? So that's where, and I watched a lot of magic shows in the past, and I'm always like, this guy's show is pretty much 80% the exact same thing I've seen in another show, or I know the creator of that effect, the routine, and I'm like, it's one of my favorite creators, so I know word for word he just stole it from the creator, and he's doing it in a um, paid like ticketed show, and that rubs me the wrong way. So I'm like, if I want to put out a show, or whether it's gigs or a ticketed show in a festival or something like that, it has to feel somewhat original. And to answer your question, it would be presentation to me is more important, because methods, I've never really cared about methods very much, because the method is just like a means to an end. It's more the presentation.
Right.
So yeah, it's like when I saw Liu Chen, right? He's the like
Liu
incredible
Chen.
Liu Chen. He's from, is it Taiwanese?
I don't.
Taiwanese,
I don't.
yeah,
Do I know Liu Chen?
maybe.
I don't
Maybe,
think
maybe
so.
not.
I don't,
He's
the name doesn't ring a bell.
Liu Chen. So he's Maybe in the US, maybe people might not be too familiar with him, but in terms of like uh, Asian magicians, maybe now with social media, Shin Lim would be famous, but Liu Chen is like the David Copperfield of Asia. And that's
Okay.
a lot of people, even the public, would know Liu Chen. So I watched one of his tossed out deck routine. Where
Love tossed out deck.
yes, so tossed out deck.
So good.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times. I perform it in my show, but when I saw him perform it, so that is what I mean. I'll describe it to you. So for those who don't know, if people are watching, you toss out a deck of cards wrapped in a rubber band so it doesn't fly everywhere. You toss it around, and people toss it around and they peek at a card, and then at the end, the magician will try and read their minds and figure out the card. And it's an incredible, super impossible routine, beautiful routine that plays huge for thousands of people even. But yeah,
First time I saw it, it fooled me so hard. It really
yes,
did.
S-
It got me.
same. It is incredible. It's such a genius method,
Yes.
incredible. But Liu Chen took it for the first time. I saw him do this. Where he did a toss-out deck, and instead of reading minds, he just in this very strange and this like mysterious manner, he had a glass and he had alcohol wipes, and so he was like, so he would ask the person who peeked at a card, use the finger that you peeked at a card with, use this alcohol wipe, wipe it, and then dip your finger in the water. And so he'll dip, and then he'll swirl it, and then sip the glass of water, and then king of spades. And then he was like, and it's
Okay.
like it's wild. And then he'll
That's
get
funny.
few people, yeah, few people to dip, and then after that he'll be like, I'm getting, four of hearts, three of hearts, nine of hearts. If I named your card, sit down. And it was like, yeah, but he built it up so nice with the pattern, and it just was like a presentation I've never seen before. It's unique. Um, it's brilliant. So these kind of things is what I'm looking for. It is rare that I can come up with a presentation as unique as that
Yeah.
uh, for a routine. But man, like if I'm even half or quarter way um, uh, there, like I'm happy. So I would take that as a win, and I'll be happy to perform. Like the ambitious card for me it was um, currently one of the main ways I perform is getting them to imagine the card rising up, and it's more like instead of okay, you cause the card to come up, ask them to imagine that the card is rising up. And I always say this, even in my like mentalism routine, when you ask someone to visualize, I always say there's no right or wrong way to do this. The best way you do it is the best way for me. And I find that by performing so much, I find this really helps people to ease in, because people are like, like what do you mean imagine this? Like how, like some people can get quite anxious. So I hate it when people are anxious. I like to make sure people feel easy in my
Yeah.
shows. So people then I say, imagine it rising and it gets so high that it swaps places with the very top card. But and I take it seriously, because a lot of times magicians say imagine like they just use it as a word. Just imagine this happen. Imagine that. But to me, I want the words to have weight, and then I'd say, but take your time. Like tell me when you're done imagining it, and I'll wait for them. And then when they're done imagining it, I'll say, turn the card over, and then it's such a strong moment like it hits them so hard, compared to when you're just like, oh, the card comes up and people are shocked, but this feels a bit more visceral. And then slowly the ambitious card routine goes in a way that, okay, so now the first phase requires you to imagine this, and it takes a while, but because you have not um,
Mm.
you've not kind of warmed your minds up yet, and then slowly it gets faster and faster in a more impossible way. And then now the final one may be the card bend, and I'm like, now it's visual because your minds are working so well already, we can now like bring it immediately and you guys can see it. And so it's almost
The
like
first time I
imagination
saw
coming to
that,
life.
the first time I saw that was from David Blaine, and I remember it just being like so. It just like stuck in my head. That
uh
I think it's the one he did for the guy named Fruit Loops, and like in the first
oh,
Magic special back in '97.
oh
I'm
yes.
aging myself now, but Yeah, he did the whole thing for Fruit Loops, and I remember the first time seeing it, and I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It really visually it's stunning. But
yeah.
I wanted to bring back to the point where your first phase. I love your first phase
Mm,
because you're so far ahead in that
mm,
first phase that you can really take your time and milk it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I really, really love that because they're not expecting that. And as you're
yeah,
going through and you're explaining, and you have their
yeah,
hand on the cart, I just love it. It's brilliant.
yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate that like on social media, a lot of the things I do in real life, like normally, is not very
Yeah,
often is shortened, and there are many cuts on my social media videos, because people often complain in my like comments like, ah, you all these cuts, you're like fake. I'm like, bro, if I don't cut it, you wouldn't even be watching it, like
yeah,
because in the past when I don't cut my videos, the views are so low, and because people's attention span in social media is so short that you
unfortunately,
have
yeah,
to keep it sharp. If there's and people don't realize, when you perform in the street, like a lot of random things happen in the street. Someone shouts, or
yeah.
because I like, and where I'm at, like I perform in this very famous street called like Rundle Mall, and a lot of crazy things happen there. So, or like, a bicycle come by, or someone drop something, and I have to cut that out, and people think I'm cutting it out for the method, but I'm like, dude, you don't want to watch like 30 seconds of the cars being picked up, or someone shouting
Only
and
if they knew.
everyone's yeah, yeah, yeah. but
Only if
but
they
it is
knew.
what it is. And also, yeah, a lot of the presentation, the building of the drama, I would a lot of times for social media filming, I would cut it short.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, I think that's one of the, at least for me, one of the weakest aspects of performing anything that's short form is
yeah,
because a lot of that stuff I really like. A large majority of it I don't like performing in real life simply because it's so short and so simple,
mm,
and I like to have the conversations and talk to people
yeah,
and have that face-to-face communication, and it just doesn't work for short form.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're saying, I want to post a 5 minute short,
yeah,
on something simple routine. Yeah, like you
yeah,
said, people aren't going to sit there and watch it most of the time. But
yeah.
if you do something
It's
short and catchy, it'll catch people's eyes.
Yeah, it's true, very true. And in real life, um, the more experience I get as a magician, and the more I perform, the more slower pace, like I find
Right.
myself performing at, and the more conversations I'm having as well. So, like you said, like you like to
So
talk
much
to
better that
people.
way.
Yeah, these are things that don't come very naturally, because at the beginning you are just anxious and stressed, and you just want to do the thing that you're meant to do. So like when you go
You
for
want
a
to get
gig,
it
or
over with to
yeah,
see, okay,
yeah,
did I succeed or not? Right.
yeah, exactly. And you're
Yeah.
just so focused on the trick and performing at them. And then after a while, like, it took me a while. And then I realized, I'm like, like once you're so comfortable with it, it will work, and then you start looking up at them and talking to them. And sometimes, y- like, I'll get paid for a gig, but I'll realize that they, like an older couple, for example, or older gentleman, older lady, they would be more interested in talking and knowing about me as a magician, because they're like, oh,
Right.
why, like, kid, like, how do you become a magician? Why do you? And I would just talk to them. I would just like, I'll put my cards away, because another thing magicians do is always fiddle with the cards. Whenever I sense that, I'll be like, slowly, I'll just make it more discreet and not make them feel bad or something. I would just slowly
I
put
saw
my
that
cards in.
video. Brilliant point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll sort of put it away, keep it away, and just have a chat with them.
I put my cards
And
away for you, so I wasn't over here. Usually, I'm,
nah,
I'm doing that. I'm trying to be better. Okay.
nah, that's good. But
It's hard. I
happy to
get a little
grab,
fidgety.
happy to grab the cards and do some magic as well.
Right. It's
Yeah,
hard. I do find it sometimes as a stress relief type of thing. But while you're in front of someone talking, maybe it's not the best
yeah,
time to be messing with the
yeah,
cards. Um, I wanna bring this whole thing back. Let's go back in time.
yeah.
Um, what sparked your interest in magic? Was it an effect? Was it a magician? What was the initial spark that made you say,
Yeah.
"Well, hey, wait a minute, I really like this"?
Yeah,
What
so
was that?
like it's this when I was 5 years old, I met a magician in my a family kind of event. It's actually my sister's god brother, and he's a professional magician in Malaysia. So I was born in Malaysia, and I moved to Singapore when I was 9, and then I'm here now for, yeah, since I came to Australia for my university, and then I just stayed on. But this happened when I was Malaysia, so I was 5 years old, and then we had this family event. He came over. At that time, I think he was a hobbyist. He was probably in his late teens. And he's very, very successful now, by the way. He became professional, and then now he's running multiple businesses that are super, super huge. But anyway, so he lined us up, this like maybe 4 or 5 kids in a line, and he was doing some sponge ball magic. So he took a red sponge ball and placed it in my hand. And I still remember every single thing. He placed it in my hand and told me to squeeze it as tight as I could. And and then he went on to the other kids. I didn't really know what was happening there. I was just focusing on the sponge ball in my hand. And then he was doing some other things, putting different sponge balls or something. And then when he came back to me and he said, "Open your hands again," a sponge ball was a sponge rabbit now. Yeah, and that like completely blew my mind. That completely shattered my mind. I just stood down there. And he took it back already, but I just stood down there for a couple of minutes while all the kids already ran away. But I don't know. I didn't understand how they could just go back to playing games because I was super deeply impacted. So after that, I asked him if he could teach me magic, and he said, when you turn 10 years old, I'll teach you. But and so I was like a patient kid. So I waited every single year. Like literally waited. Although 10 years old felt like a lifetime away, I was 5, is like double my age, right? Like,
Man, I'm telling you.
I was like 6, and I'm like every year he I think he said 10 years old, hoping that I'll like forget about it or something. But every single year I knew I was waiting for that. And then 9 years old came, and I was like, oh, next year I'm gonna learn some magic from him. And then by 10 years old, I hardly ever saw him again because he was so busy. He was constantly traveling. Usually we'll go to his
Oh
place
wow. Yeah.
once or twice a year to visit. But every time we went, so when I was 10 years old, I was waiting. I went to his place. I was ready when it was like a usual visit, but I was ready to meet him, to ask him. I'm like, 10 years old, you said when I was 5, I was 10. Uh, but I never saw him, and I was so angry. I was so pissed. And then the next year, I was like, oh, will I meet him? And then he wasn't there. And then I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna learn this myself. So yeah. But anyway, like if you're talking about like the first thing that caused it is that experience, that sponge ball in my hand. That yeah, that completely blew my mind.
Now I'm curious. Have you had an opportunity to perform for him?
Um, so recently, yeah, such a coincidence you asked me now, because I haven't seen him for years and years. Now this year I'm 28. So last year, um, probably the last time I met him before this last time was maybe in my teens. So 10 years later, last year was the first time I met him again. His name is David Lai. He's still based in Malaysia. So uh, he messaged me for some reason. I don't know why. I can't remember now, but he wanted to help me out because he knew I was a magician, and he has a good brand, and he's also good friends and partners with this legendary comedian in Malaysia. So almost everyone in Malaysia, if you say this guy's name, people will know him. So the both of them are good friends. So he wanted to help me out, and he was doing a big event. He told me to come kind of like their backstage office and to perform. He will have a kind of video crew to perform for him and the comedian. So so yeah, we met for the first time last year. It was quite a cool moment to kind of reunite. And now like I'm a professional, and he's like, wow, and I told him the story about how I got into magic, and he was like surprised.
Full
It was
circle moment.
Yeah, it was full circle. So but yeah, so last year for the first time in a long while, I met him and also performed for the comedian, and they were really nice. So yeah, but
That's
it
amazing.
was good. Yeah, yeah.
So what was now? Now I know you said that you were pissed off at 11 years old. You're like, you know what? Forget this. I'm gonna learn
Yeah.
this myself. Where did you begin? What did you learn? What was the first
Yeah,
effect that you learned?
I got my dad to buy me this book that like in this random every so ever since then, every single bookshop I go to, I'll be looking for magic books. I'll be like
They're
trying to
so hard to
find.
find out in the
Yeah,
real world.
yeah, but so here's the thing, like now I know there is like real like magic books like the ones we know.
Right.
But in the past for me it's like 100 tricks, like 100, like for kids, like 100 tricks, 101 tricks. So that's the first book I
Oh, every
let me see
once
if
in a
I
while
have
you'll
it.
find some gems in those things too.
I have it. I have it with me.
You have it? Awesome. Let me see. This is amazing.
All right. This is the first magic book.
Wow.
Let me
100 magic tricks. It's so funny you just mentioned it too.
Yeah. uh, I I forgot I have
You know,
to
I've
because
asked this question to so many
yeah.
people, and a lot of times the answer is, yeah, the first thing they got was a book. And I'm like, do you
Yeah.
have that book? And they're like, you know what? I don't have that book anymore. I said, bro, you got to buy it. You got to have it in your collection.
Yes.
It's a must.
Yes.
And you're like the only person that's actually said, you know what? Here it is. It's right here. I have
Yeah.
the first one I bought, so I'm right
That's
there
good.
with you.
Yeah, I like keeping these things, and it's still kept in really good condition. It's yellow now at the front there,
Oh,
but
so it's the
I
original. That's amazing.
yes, the original. So uh, the reason I have this, so this like I have like a ton of books, but half of them were in Singapore because I used to be in Singapore when I moved here. I didn't bring everything because my luggage didn't have space. So this time I just came back from Singapore about 3 weeks ago. So I brought everything I have,
Oh,
all the
nice.
books back. So this was one of the books I brought back. So I was like, oh, I do have it. So yeah, 100 tricks. I read this like maybe 3 or 4 times cover to cover. I learned everything in the book, and it was all right. It wasn't the best, really. Like looking back, it's like some really really simple, some of like yeah. But anyway, that's how it started, and then after that, yeah, went to YouTube to search some things, and I'm like, oh, and at
Oh,
that
yeah.
time, yeah, at that time when I first looked into YouTube, I don't know how many years ago was this, but there was only this one guy. I can't even remember his name. There was only this one guy teaching these random little tricks in YouTube. One or two people, and I will watch their videos. Other like right now, there's when you search magic, like there's hundreds
Yeah,
and
everywhere.
thousands of
Yeah.
videos. But at that time, it was really just this guy teaching a French drop, or this straw thing where you slit the straw and you put a string through, and it's cut in half, but it looks like I,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but it's like this was like yeah. I think I
I
think it's
remember
in
when
here
I
as well.
first started looking, I think one of the first people I subscribed to was like the Russian genius. So that's one I want to get him on here. I talked to him not that long ago, but he's very successful, and he's a victim of success, I suppose, because he's a hard man to get in touch with. I talked to him
Ah,
about a year ago, and he hasn't been active in about a year. So I gotta get
mm,
him on.
yeah,
He's
Russian
he's somebody
genius.
good to talk to.
Yeah, like is he still like I hardly go on YouTube to watch any magic, so I don't even know is he still like on, or is he still
He
teaching
posted a
stuff?
year ago. The last time he posted was a year ago. So he still
Ah,
posts, but it's so far in between. And
yeah.
actually, I talked to Pig Cake that knows him very well. They've
Ah,
had a relationship for a long time now. And like he said, what he was telling me is how successful he was because he started this on YouTube so early and was
yeah.
so successful with it that he really doesn't have to make content anymore unless he wants to. He's very successful with that.
Ah, like successful from YouTube ad revenue?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah. He
that's so
has he's
interesting.
and he's very good. He's very good when it comes to sleight of
Yeah,
hand.
yeah. I
One of the
I
things about
remember.
him is he picks up so quick. He can learn something very, very fast,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
immediately, be able to teach it, which is crazy.
Mm, yeah. I I remember when I first started, he wasn't even there yet. It was that long ago, and and it was just I know this guy's face. I just don't know what's his name is now.
A
But after
million
that,
card tricks.
Maybe
There's a
I don't
million
even.
card tricks. There's I'm trying to remember all the old school guys because there's not that many people. There's Miss Mag. Is that
There is
because
that
that's
guy.
one of the
Yeah,
one big ones. Miss Mag is one of the
yeah,
big ones from the early
yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, oh, there are a few, but this guy is just this guy who puts a camera and you see him because I think Miss Mac is like you don't see his face. It's
No, yeah,
just a
right.
yeah, yeah. So this guy is just this tall, skinny white guy. I just yeah, I just don't yeah. But anyway, he was the first guy I watched. I still remember. And then after that, all these people came in. But I think the thing that really made me um better or a good magician is getting into books. So once I found out about uh, Penguin or Vanishing Ink, and then I realized, man, there are books. And then when I started reading books, I was like, whoa, like the depth in the book is are things that I haven't found anywhere. So at that time, by watching a couple of YouTube videos, I'm like, okay, I can do a couple of slides and I'm all right. But the books are what got me to the next level and meeting other magicians as well.
Right.
Yeah, and I was specifically interested in theories in magic and like the philosophy side of things. I don't
I
know
think
why,
that's a
but that
big part that a lot of people haven't really gotten into
yeah,
yet, and I think that's one of
yeah,
the things that helps you grow. Uh,
yes, yeah.
yeah,
It's huge. Like somehow that side of things stimulated my mind a lot. Like I
yeah,
would read hours and hours books from Ascanio or like by Darwin Ortiz, the Strong Magic you mentioned to me
love that
about.
one.
Yeah, he has Strong Magic and Designing Miracles.
Yeah,
Both incredible books. But Strong Magic specifically is extra special to me. I to me that book answered a lot of the questions I've had for years. I've always like, how do you make your magic better? And that like very like surgically told you tells you exactly. Yeah, you have the book with you.
I'm about a quarter of the way through. I'm still reading it right now, but this
Yes.
is for anybody that's wondering what we're talking about. This
Yeah.
is a book we both highly recommend right here by
Yes.
Darwin Ortiz.
Yes. I have Designing Miracles. Oh, Strong Magic. Oh, Strong Magic is right here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Same
Awesome,
book. Yeah.
nice man.
Oh,
Yeah,
let me see.
as you can see, I'm a big fan of books as well.
Yes, you have a ton of books there.
I
Yeah,
love the books, that's for sure.
yeah.
There's things, I think one of my favorite quotes is if you want to keep it a secret, put it in a book.
Oh, yes, yes.
Because
It's funny. So, well, I'll say this first. Nowadays, when I get a book, I write the date on it. I started this a couple of years ago. So, Strong Magic was 2018 for me. 2018 December. I
oh
signed.
wow.
Yeah. So this completely changed my magic. Like how many years ago now? Maybe 7 years or so. Yeah, but yeah, this was what took my magic to the next level as well. But like you said, if you want to hide something, put it in a book. Put it in a book. I was doing the so in Singapore when I was still there, I was doing this thing in a jam session, and then uh, I was performing for Harapan. I don't know if you guys have heard of Harapan, but he's a more prominent magician in Singapore, and he was asking me, oh, where did you like? It's a very cool move. Like the method is super interesting. And I'm like, oh, I read it in this book called Magic of Sosato or something. But the Secrets of Sosato, the Secrets of Sosato. This book by a Japanese magician, The Secrets of
Oh,
Sosato.
okay.
Yeah, it's a really good book. Really good book. Very
I've heard there's some really good Japanese books out there.
yeah, yeah. They just think different from the Western side of things. So it's nice to see different styles of magic and different thinking. They're a bit more like adventurous. Their ideas are a little bit more unconventional. So it's quite interesting. But yeah, I was doing this thing and I was like, oh, Secret of Sato, and Harapan recognized he knew the book, but and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm glad.
I heard of that book.
Uh,
I don't have that one, but so you
yeah,
recommend it?
yeah, yeah, it's good. It may not be your normal stuff, and you may not perform a lot of the things in there, but it was just really interesting read. Like, and there are a couple of moves that I would use. So, and actually, there's one move, a turnover half pass, that I use. It sounds complicated, but it's actually super easy, and it solves a lot of problems for me. So sometimes when the cards are face up and face down, just one
I
flip
actually
of the
know what
deck.
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, but
You know,
basically it's
you know, I'm a big fan of the pass. So there's like I
yeah,
try to use the pass for everything. At least try. At least
yeah,
see how it goes.
yeah. But so there's some moves there, and so I was telling Harpan, it's from this book, The Secrets of Sosato, and I was like, oh, luckily not many people know about this book, so it's pretty cool. And Harpan was like, it's not that not many people know about this book, it's like not many people even read books.
Read books.
Yeah, and
Exactly. Yeah.
and he was like, so if you read a book, you're already like far ahead, and you already know things that most people don't know. And I'm like, oh, I never didn't even think of that, and that
And
was when I realized.
even more on top of that is reading books that don't have not one magic trick, right? So, like
Oh,
for example, Strong Magic. It's
yes,
all theory. There's not one trick in there.
yes,
There's
yes,
references, plenty of references to effects, but um,
yeah,
I think a
exactly,
lot of times somebody will hear that and they'll be like, "There's no tricks in this book. Why would I buy it?" Well, little do
correct,
they know how
correct.
valuable it is. You know.
Yeah, I like there is one book I want to show you. Um,
Please do.
do you have you heard of Ascanio, Arturo Ascanio? Uh,
It
you know Ascanio's
rings a
spread
bell,
and
but
things. Yeah.
I can't place it. The
Um,
name Ascanio rings a bell.
yeah, Ascanio is a he has passed away quite a while ago, but he is this legend in magic, a Spanish magician, but he
Okay.
yeah, basically his magic, you can see a lot of his work on YouTube, like old videos that are not very clear, but man, you can appreciate the beauty and the elegant handlings of his, and yeah, it's just so beautiful. I'm just trying to find the book.
I love to study some of the classic magicians from back in the day. I
Yeah.
find that the early
Yeah.
1900s, late 1800s, there's some
Ah,
real miracle workers out there.
yes. You told me about a book the other day that you were reading. What that the huge book,
Oh, yes.
Greater Magic.
Uh,
Greater
Hil-
Magic.
Hil- Hilliard, yeah. Greater Magic. This one right here.
Yeah. So
It's
this
super
book
hard to
is
find.
yes. Yes. I found
Really thick.
a yeah, I found a free online copy many
Oh,
years
nice.
ago. Yeah, and I was reading through it. I only got through maybe 100, 200 pages, but I haven't got through the whole book, but I loved it. I love the part where
Everything is referenced in here. Literally
mm,
everything. You can, you have stage effects, all kind of stuff in here. It's
yes. Yeah.
and it has. There's
Uh,
more. There's enough magic in here for a lifetime. Literally.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, hey, look at
Ah,
this
of course. It's right
section
here.
on my one of my
Uh,
favorite sections here. Look at that.
oh, it's backwards for me. Well, what does it
Oh yeah,
say?
it's gonna be like that. It's a section on marked cards.
Oh.
One of my favorite sections, huh?
Yes. Greater Magic is great. I love the more the not I don't know if it called theory, but it was the part where they were just talking about magic, and
Yeah,
it really crushes you. It's like it tells
that's
you
early
how
on in the book, right?
yeah, it tells you how shit
Yeah.
most magicians are, and how most people would never like almost like you'll never amount to anything. It's like
Some
tough
people
love.
won't want to hear that, and
Yes.
I sort of get the same vibes from Strong Magic too, especially in some parts of it. You kind of, it's just like you kind of you almost feel bad about yourself for a little bit, but then
Yeah.
you want to do better.
Yeah.
Oh, so
And
another one.
I love it.
Since you like the older books, I think you'll like this one too. Um, Modern Magic by Professor Hoffman.
Oh, yes. I've never read this book. This is great.
I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
either. I just got it recently. So
I've heard a
there's
lot about this book.
yes, this is a true classic where there's stuff in here that
Yes.
I was very
Oh
surprised. I'm
man.
uh, like I think I saw, uh, them describing the pass in here. I was like, look at
Yeah.
that. That's really wild.
Yeah. I
So
man, like
I mean, look at that. Just for reference point, look at that. That's just wild.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't.
That is
I guess
so
I
good.
didn't realize how old the pass is.
Yeah.
So you put it into you know
Yeah.
perspective there. But
There's so many old books that I would love to read, but so most of my books are not old. I love old stuff, but I don't have much of them. So this modern magic out, is it still being sold? Is it still being printed? I
yes, you
don't
can
know.
actually get it at the International Brotherhood of Magicians, their website. It's like
Oh,
$65, and for what you're getting, I think it's not too bad price wise.
yeah.
It's a very nice book. The way it's made and everything, it's good quality.
Yeah, yeah. I
They
might,
they
yeah.
actually went in. It's a scan of one of the originals. They went in, they cleaned everything up, so it
Mm,
looks great,
mm,
but it's still
yes.
printed like the original.
It's great. Like I told you, I love going through these things and then um trying to find a more modern, a more efficient take to it, or a take that I would enjoy. Oh,
So I had to do a wardrobe
yeah,
change there. Getting a little toasty
all
out here.
good. Yeah. What's the temperature where you're at, by the way?
Well, lately it's been really cold for Florida. As you know, I live here in Florida, and
Yeah.
lately it's been in the high 20s, low 30s.
Mm,
So for us
okay.
here, that's a little chilly.
Okay. Okay. Wow. All right. All right. That's a nice temperature. I think like it's just nice. I would say, not too
Yeah,
cold,
well,
not
I'm
too
I'm
hot.
from New York, so I'm used to it being cold, but I got so used to
Yeah.
it here in Florida being warm. And I'm just
Uh,
very thankful that I don't have to, shovel my car out of the snow to get to work,
oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah,
that
I can
that's a
imagine
pain.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a real pain.
Yeah. Uh, what was I saying? I was saying we spoke about how I like to read the old stuff and then try and find a way to put my spin on it, or find a more modern handling, more efficient handling of it, because magic has advanced so much over the last even 10, 20 years. So I love doing that. And then uh, now that I understand my style and the things I like a bit more, it's very easy for me to take the old stuff and uh, make it mine. So I very often come up with new effects, new routines just by looking at the old stuff. And yeah, but that's one of the most fun things for me in magic, to read the books and to figure out things.
Now, there's so much in there that you could rework and remodernize because the plots are just old and it just doesn't make sense anymore. But a lot of these effects are still good in concept and idea, and there's
Yeah,
other methods that you might know that would work
yeah.
better for it. And one of the things that you talk about is how you try to eliminate steps,
Mm,
eliminate,
mm, mm.
when it comes to slights and stuff, and make it as simple as possible. And I think
Yeah.
that's a brilliant idea because then you can
Mm.
focus more on your presentation,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
it's more um, streamlined, I guess you could say. It's more streamlined
yeah,
to getting the effect done. There's less steps. Like sometimes you see people like over shuffling or
yeah, yeah.
um, these types of things.
It's
Overproving.
true.
As
It's
magicians,
like,
we tend to overprove a lot.
yeah, yeah. It's like I like to think. I think in just in general, how I solve things is I kind of simplify everything, and then, because even in business, in magic, whatever is the same, you simplify everything. Or like in health or diet, like when you are sick or you're unwell, like a lot of the one very effective and one of the most effective ways to solve um, health issues you have, but you don't know what food you got, you usually go in this elimination diet where you start from the basics. You only have maybe potato, these few things that are very rarely found to trigger some health or like a bodily reaction. You have
So
this, and
essentially,
then
process of elimination, right?
yeah, and then slowly you add maybe. Uh, this vegetable or that meat, and then slowly, and then you realize, oh, when you add this, then your body reacts and you find, okay, so that's the issue, so with magic I like to, if there's too many moves, I'm like, okay, maybe I might be wrong. If I eliminate all of them, I might be wrong, but I think it's a good place to start. And then slowly I can think about, could I add this to add one more shuffle? Does that help? Add one more cut. Maybe it adds a different texture. Maybe instead of selecting a card this way, can I change the way it's selected? Instead of picking a card, if I dribble and stop, does that make it flow nicer? So things like that. I like to eliminate everything, and very often you'll find eliminating is much better than changing or adding. So, and that's my experience at least. So I like to make things more efficient, eliminate them, and then maybe consider, if once it's already kind of streamlined, like you said, then could this addition help? Could that addition help? So yeah, but for sure, I like to make things efficient. Uh, always just general
So
life as well.
I'd like you to describe to me the early days. How did you start performing? What were some of your first performances? How
Oh,
did you get into it? Let's talk about the jitters. Let's talk about that those first feelings when you first start. And I still get them sometimes when I'm performing a new effect that I haven't tried before, or
yeah,
besides practicing, for myself. So, what was that
yeah.
like getting into it? What did you perform at first? Where did you
Mm,
perform? How did it all start in terms of actually getting out there performing? Because that's when you learn so much.
yeah. Like it was, it's honestly like a very interesting journey. So I think with every, just like everyone, I think you start performing for family and friends, and so when
Most
as I
definitely.
grew up and I learned magic, what I was doing is I constantly was performing it to my sister, my parents, and and then whenever my parents had people come over for like people visit our home, it could be their friends or it could be a family member, like relatives. I would always, uh, they would know I do magic, so I'd always be the person performing. And whenever I go out with friends, when they know I do a bit of magic, they would ask to perform, and uh, I'll perform. So that was where I got a lot of the first initial experiences. It was good and bad because at some point I hated it. I started to hate it so much because I think magicians go through this. I don't know if how long you've been doing, actually, how long have you been doing magic for? Is it a
Uh,
just recent thing or?
Probably 8 years steady. Before
Okay.
that, it was like an off and on thing, and then I took a
Yeah.
big break. So like I started heavy in high school, took a big break throughout
Uh,
college and those years, and
yeah.
the crazy life intervenes. And
Yeah.
then once my fiance was pregnant with my daughter, I somehow
Mm.
gravitated back to it, and I just never
Ah.
stopped. So
Wow.
it's been 8 years. My
Wow.
daughter's 7,
Yeah.
so I started before she was born. So it's been a solid 8 years.
Yeah, it's quite a while then. Yeah. So, but yeah, I wouldn't know. So like high school, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if you would have this experience. I think I've spoken to one or two people, or I've heard people having the same experience as me, where you perform so much, and every time you go out, you leave home. I'm always thinking, oh man, who am I going to meet? And what if they ask me to perform, which like it's not what if, I know I'm going to be performing, so I'll be set up before I go home, like 10, 15, 20 minutes, even more before I'll be preparing stuff. And it's always stressful. It's like the whole way through, meeting friends, meeting relatives, any family event, the whole way through I'm like on the edge, because anytime someone can be asking something, and then I'll to grab my cards out and then start performing. And at the beginning you'd be excited because you're like, oh, I can try these things, but after a while it gets very
Tedious.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just started hating it, and I started getting mad whenever people asked me to perform. It was a whole different thing. I started getting quite pissed whenever people ask me to perform. I'm like, I'm not. Can I just not be a normal person and just. But but it's kind of like, yeah, yeah, it's kind of like my fault as well. I mean, in the past I
That's
did it. I
funny.
conditioned them to kind of
Everyone to think
so
that way, right?
yeah, so it took a while, because it took a while for me to not bring out cards wherever I go, to not even hint, or bring up magic at all. Because very often, in the past, when you want to perform, you would kind of hint the direction where, like, oh yeah, I've been working in some magic stuff, and then people are like, oh, magic, and then you're like, yeah, let me show you something. So, but not like, I hardly ever bring up. Like, even right now, as a professional, like, I do this for a living. I hardly ever tell people I'm a magician. I just don't like it. I don't like the attention. I just don't like the fact that people would generally then ask you to share something. I just keep it like I'm just a normal person. So whenever, like, the thing I always, ask magicians, uh, magicians ask me, like, oh, do you think do you like performing outside? I say I don't like it, because one of the things is, of course, the anxiety, the stress of, like, always having to perform, always being on your
Right.
toes. The other thing is, like, you have to ask yourself, do people like you because of who you are, because of how you, the person you are, like the conversations you can hold, or is
Right.
magic carrying you completely? Is people Do people like you because of magic? So it's another reason I never use magic to, like I have a wife now, but I never use magic to pick her up or something like that, because I'm like, if you do that, like, did they like you because of the magic or because of who you are? Like, and is it the same thing? I don't know. Maybe for some people that is their thing, but if that's your identity, is that a problem? I don't know. So to me, I want to be able to hold myself, and talk, maybe give a speech on stage without my cards. I'll be able to talk and be interesting enough, or have enough valuable information for people to want to listen, uh, and not
That's a
be
great point.
because, yeah, and not be because I'm just like a performing monkey, and people, like having me because I'm performing, not just because I'm who I am. So that was a big thing. And then as a young kid, because I started doing magic so young, like 10, 11 years old, it affected me a lot, because it was like an identity thing, identity crisis. And I was like, am I, like, do people, do I have anything more than magic? Because when I go to conversations, like, when people have conversations about the world or politics, I don't know anything. All I knew was magic, because I was
Oh
obsessed with
no.
it. Yeah, like, that's all I knew. I would, like, all my time outside of schoolwork and homework, I would just be reading magic, practicing magic, and I was good at magic, and I knew how to handle interactions and everything with magic. Maybe misdirection or whatever. Like, I was all right with it, but anything outside of magic, I was like, I don't know. I don't care even at that time, and I didn't like
Damn.
how it was.
That's difficult because I think you need to be able to hold a conversation about multiple
Yeah,
things. Myself, I try to study politics, religion, and
yeah,
just other things to have conversations with people, modern,
yeah,
world events that are happening right now.
yeah,
I think that's important to be,
for sure.
knowledgeable in that thing and not just magic. I've fallen into that whole feeling before too. Which leads me to the point, do you have other hobbies besides magic? Because that's
Yeah,
something that actually has helped me stay in love with magic is
yeah.
being able to take a little break, do something else, and be completely content.
Yeah, so I think at the moment, so we for me, I'm just focused on business. So I one thing I found myself enjoying was, business. So I'm constantly thinking about how to do better, like, because, uh, doing magic full time, you can most magicians have a second job. They don't do magic full time because it doesn't pay.
Right.
So, and even if they do, they just average. Very, very rarely you see a standout, very successful magician. That like, in each state or in each area, there's only two or three names, maybe, or four names. But, uh, to do it well, there's like a whole thing you have to do. There's sales, marketing, there's,
Right.
websites, Google ads, you know, there's so many aspects like brochures, so all of this part of sales and marketing, I guess, and that and and business etiquette, maybe like a business card kind of thing. When do you give it out? How do you give it out? How to hold conversations in like a more networking sense. So all of these things interest me quite a bit, and I'm very interested in business. So um, that is one of the things that I spend most of my other time trying to study and learn. I read a lot of books on business, on money. So that's a big thing that I do. But yeah, other than magic, there's no like real. I used to play sport a lot, but ever since I moved to Australia, I stopped because I didn't really have friends like I did there when I came here.
Right.
Was university. I didn't really, you know, I'm slightly an introvert. I don't like going out much. I hardly like in my whole uni life. I barely met any friends. I was just working. There's like a story for I don't know, maybe later or another day, but it's like basically when I was uni, I was trying to make magic work as a career because
Right.
if not, I knew my parents would definitely make me just work in a normal job, and I wouldn't have anything concrete to prove to them.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, Asian parents thing, but anyway, that's a whole different thing. So most of my time I didn't have time to dedicate to hobbies or anything. It was just trying to get it off the ground, trying to make it work. But yeah, I don't, yeah, unfortunately I don't have much much else. I'm quite zoned in. I work very hard every day. Now social media is taking like a lot of my time. um
Now,
yeah.
before you moved, did you have more experience, you think, going at performing magic before you moved, or now that you've moved to
uh
Australia?
Yeah, no, definitely after I moved. So before I moved, it was still I haven't really did magic as a professional. I've
Okay.
maybe done like I volunteered in the general hospital in Singapore, just performing magic and did maybe one or two super tiny paid gigs. When I say tiny, it's like 50, $100. It's like not, it's just like maybe people might think 50 $100 for an hour or two is a lot, but it's
For an
not.
hour,
It's
that's not too bad, you know.
because
That's
people often
especially for someone who's starting, that's not bad at all.
yeah. Right, right, right. Okay.
You're right. For just
Yeah,
getting your toes wet, that's
yeah,
not too
yeah,
bad. You're doing pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah. No, that's actually makes sense. I was thinking of more of, when people think like when you if you work at a job and you get 50 an hour, that's a lot. But
Right.
but
But you're
so
working
when
more hours, so
yeah,
that's
yeah, correct.
right.
So in our industry, like in entertainment or in the gig kind of industry, it doesn't work that way. You get paid a lot more an hour because uh,
Right.
you paid for that one like show or something like that because you don't get it every day, So, but
It's also a
but
skill you
anyways,
don't find everywhere neither, you know?
correct. So yeah, so you get paid because the market like there's less supply, and and yeah, you get compensated for a niche skill. So but at the beginning, yeah, in Singapore, I barely performed. It was all as a hobbyist performing for friends, family, relatives, that kind of thing. It's only when I came here where,
For the love of it.
um, yeah, yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah. Only when I came here where I became like a proper, did it for like for okay money, and then slowly the price increased over the years. But it was only here like where the hundreds of hours of performing came in,
So what
because
would you say was your first professional gig?
I have one in mind, but I don't know if that's the first one, because every time I think of my first gig, that's the one I think of. It might be it. That's like the
Tell me about it.
first. It's the first proper one. It's the first proper one, I think. So it was,
Right.
and it's not even something I got myself. It is because I was in a magic community here. I know a couple of magicians, and one of them gigs quite a bit. And so there was one gig where he couldn't make it, and so
Mhm.
he basically handed it to me, and it was a very like much lower paying gig. But to me at that time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of money. It was $150 for an hour. And to me, it was like that's crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. and it was basically 200. He took 50 and he gave me 150 as a finder's kind of fee. So I just
Yeah.
went for it, and I was stressing about it for the 2 weeks prior. I was like, oh my, it's walk around gig. I was asking my friends, I'm like, uh, those who have done gigs before, what's your advice? I met with them for lunch to just get ideas, and I was stressing about it, and it went all right. It was just a very average gig. But that was the first one. I remember $150 cash on hand. Like I got 200 cash. I met that guy, give him $50, and then I got 150 to keep. Um, if I'm not wrong, I still have the $100 note from that gig. So I kept the $100
Oh,
note from
nice.
that gig. Yeah, it's in my drawer. It's my drawer in my room. But that was it. I was stressing because it was 1 hour and there were 40 people, I think, 40, 45 people. And I was like, oh, how do I do 1 hour of magic for just so little people? And, and, and that's where one of the magicians, a friend of mine, he was like, you can talk to them, you don't always have to perform. And I'm like, but I'm paid there to perform, like how can I just talk to them? And and he said, no, you can, and it's just casual, you're just walking around, you can talk and engage with them. And that's one of the things I learned as well. Right now, more than at that time, it didn't sink in quite as much. But when you're hired as a magician to go to an event to perform, you're there to entertain and also act like the
Right.
second host almost. You are there to make people feel welcome and entertained in general. They don't care whether you're doing magic, as long as you're having the guests are happy and the guests love you, it reflects well on the host. So so for some people, like I said, the older people, a lot of them just wants to talk to me. And if I talk to them, they'll be happier than if I perform for them. So just by talking
Yeah.
to them, they would actually say even better things to me, to the host about me, and that's a win. So and they would be very happy that the host got me as well. They was like, oh, such an interesting person you got here, and so all of it works out. So that's what I tried doing on my very first gig. I met this few kids my age, and I was talking to them a bit, and I to buy some time, I even taught them a magic trick.
Yo,
And
to teach a magic trick at a walk around gig, that's pretty wild.
yeah, I was like, because they were so interested at one or two things I did. I taught them a simple, the ring trick where you toss the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that, and all of their minds were blown, and I was like, oh, I need to buy time. So it would be cool if I teach them, because if the host sees it, it looks like I'm performing for them, because it's like they're
Yeah.
excited, they're engaged, and I'm holding a ring. So it looks like I'm performing, but I'm actually buying, like, I bought like 15, 20 minutes out of it, just talking to the two or three like guys my age and sharing with them that ring things. It
That's
was
funny. I
great.
think there's certain effects that I think are like really good beginner effects that are great
Yeah.
to teach someone who's interested that wants to learn, so maybe
Yeah.
perform it themselves, And there's like those
Mm,
little, not throwaway tricks, but kind of, you know what I
yeah.
mean? All right.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, you do teach a bit on your YouTube. What do you think
Yeah.
is a good beginner friendly, but also, like you said, not a throwaway thing? What comes to mind when you, to me, for example, it's
Okay.
the key card trick. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But
Right.
but
So I agree with you. I think that's one of my go-tos, which I think originally was written up as the circus card trick. Is
the
that the one
circus
you're
card
referring
trick.
to? Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a brilliant effect. And one of the way, so one of the things I like to do is I like to teach it to somebody who was like, "Hey, can you teach me something so I can show my wife, my kids,
Yeah.
X, Y, Z?" And I'll teach them that, and then I'll say, "Okay, so you saw how I did that, right?" And then I do it with a whole nother method. You know what I'm talking about. I
Yes.
do it with the whole
Yes.
other method, and like, go ahead,
Yeah.
shuffle it up, mix it up, and then still kill with it. And they're like, "Wait a minute, hold on, that's not what you taught me. What's going on here?" So that's kind of a little funny thing I like to throw on top.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I actually I
Yeah.
have a tutorial for that effect that I uh, put up not too long ago, a couple months back.
Mm, yeah, the circus card trick is a very beautiful piece. I think I told you as well. Like in one of, so I do a theater show here in Adelaide called the Adelaide Magic Theater. So I run it with Sam King, a good friend of mine, and it's two-part show. So I do about 40 minutes, and then he do about
Okay.
40 minutes. So so
Intermission
there's
in
a break.
between.
Yeah, there's a break in
Right.
between. So like there is a sometimes when he's not around, I would do both parts, and if I'm busy with a gig or something, he'll do both parts. But when I do both parts, there are times where I start or end the first part with the circus card trick, and the thing is this: like most magicians take it as a throwaway thing, but with the right drama, with the right
Oh
presentation,
yeah, it's good.
it's so good. And that's the thing where I think you mentioned as well, where as the more you learn, the more advanced or experience you get, you tend to kind of like the basic things, and the basic things are quite hard. The basic things, when done, when handled by a more experienced person, looks super magical. You know,
It's like the
like
difference between you're getting a cake but with no frosting, just baked, comes out. It's good. It's
yeah,
cake. But then when you have it dressed up and you have
mm,
the frosting,
yes,
you have the little details and accents, that's
yeah,
when you get the professional version of that effect. So
yeah,
I think it is a great effect to teach someone and get them interested. Like the key card principle is a
yeah,
very good thing to get somebody's feet wet.
yeah,
So
yeah, for
but
sure.
that effect can be killer. Anybody who thinks that it's just a beginner effect is
Yeah.
absolutely wrong.
Yeah, I to tell you, like the number of times. So we have quite a few magicians come visit the theater. Sometimes from other countries, even whenever they visit Adelaide or I know it's South Australia, and they'll come visit the theater. And I've had a few magicians like so. Sometimes I end the show with a double lift as well. Okay, so just like sometimes I end the show with just a change of a card, and the method is just a double lift. That's it, right?
Right.
And magicians would come to me at the end of the show, and it's like, I thought there would be more. Like I never expected, just because they know, of course, like even a beginner would understand a double lift. So they thought like, oh, there'll be more, and but they don't realize like it for everyone there, the non-magicians, that was like it. I built it up correctly, and at the end, that one card on the table, just on itself, the table is empty, and the tension is built up, and we flip that one card, and it boom, everyone's mind was blown. Everyone at the end, when I leave, they'll be on the table checking the card, checking the table. It's a very beautiful moment, but for the magician, it was like it's just a double lift, and
It's
they
so
don't see it,
simple.
you know. They don't see it, and it's same thing with the key card principle. They're a bit confused as like, why in my theater show I'm doing a circus card trick, like a key card trick, and I'm like, you don't understand. But then the more experienced one, they were like, no man, this, like, did you see the way he handled the double? Did you see
Right.
you know I, yeah, so that's when I'm like, oh, you can tell as well, like, okay, you're not too experienced yet, and then you can see the more experienced one who can appreciate it. I'm like, oh, thank you, I'm glad you see it. Yeah,
The funny part is if you have a really good double, you'll fool people that are expecting you to do a strike or,
yeah, yeah,
any of these other methods to grab, a double. That's why the double is a funny thing because you have so many magicians out there that do it really bad.
yeah, yeah,
And it's just
yes.
they're basically telegraphing what they're doing.
Mm,
So I
mm,
mean, the better methods for it are more difficult to learn, and they take a lot
yes,
more time. It took me a long time to get down the way I wanted it.
yeah,
But once you do, people don't see it, and it flies by. Like
yeah,
one of the things that I like to do is a center double. I fool a lot of magicians with a center double, just because either
yes.
they haven't seen that before or they're just not thinking you're going to do that.
That's interesting. Is there a specific center double that you do by any chance?
The
Is
Dan
there?
and the Dan and Dave center double. Um, now I
Yeah,
did.
the
There is
one where
that
you.
one I came up with, which utilizes the push off. But what I was referring
Oh
to is
yeah,
the center double like this. So you go
yes,
ahead and you
yes,
move a card out like this.
yeah,
You show the card, right? Then you lose it
yes,
back in, or whatever you want to do with it.
yeah,
Pop it
yeah,
back in the middle, and obviously it's still there. But
yes,
that
yes.
that alone, I fooled a lot of people with it. A lot of magicians, experienced people, because they're just not expecting you to do that,
Yeah, 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 for sure.
which is
There
pretty
are
funny.
interesting ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, speaking about that, like that, I because I post so much on social media, and I create so much content, like I go out and perform so much, just on the street. So that itself actually is another side that gives me a lot of experience performing as well outside of gigs, because I perform so much on the street. Um,
Right.
there are sometimes some videos that I'm not very proud of. Like there's some doubles in there that
We all
are,
have those.
yeah, and but I just put it out because I, like, at the beginning of my social media thing about 6 months ago. um for the first month, I was very careful with what I put out. I'm like, I wanna have this brand of this guy who handles cards really well, and sleek technique. And because I know I can execute good stuff and I can execute things well, but sometimes people just don't realize on the street, the weather condition, or once you hand someone to shuffle the cards, it's completely ruined. And
Right.
some doubles just cannot be done with a card that is not in quite all right conditions. So people, I've had like a lot of like crazy comments. I don't quite care about them, but I'm bringing this up
Right.
because they're saying like, this guy's double is shit, or like, or you have to
Yeah.
practice
Well,
more. And I'm like, man, like, it's funny because they don't realize, um like sometimes, for example, let me grab a deck of
those
cards.
people, I would love to see their double.
Yeah.
I would love to see
Yeah.
them go out and perform and see how well they do.
Yeah,
You know what
because
I
like,
mean?
of course, like in a normal time, if the cards are right, this is a double, right? It's really good. It's
Right.
a push off double. It's perfect. It's
Looks
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I,
but
I
in
didn't see anything.
yeah, exactly. On the street though,
Now, bro,
yeah,
you're hitting the nail on the head because if you think I do a push off double perfectly every single time, I don't.
yeah,
I don't. And
yeah,
it's, I mean, that may have looked okay, but
yeah,
that doesn't happen perfectly every single time. But
yeah,
with presentation,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like you said, on the street, like for example, they don't realize like for example, I film uh sometimes 2 weeks worth of content in one day. So I'll be
oh
out there
wow,
filming for 2 hours, and I'll have maybe like 28 videos or something like that. So that I can
oh,
post
that's
once or
amazing.
twice a day. Yeah. So with when you perform so much in a 2 hours, and for example, I do the ambitious card where I bend the card, like there'll be 4 or 5 bend cards in here, or more, or like maybe six,
Oh my
because
God.
each time yeah. So what happens is that, and you get people to shuffle as well, and sometimes, I don't know, they had a drink, their hand is moist, and then the cards are bent slightly. So at the end of it, I cannot do a push off double, right? I would have to do this sort of double, and
Yeah,
very like mechanical, where I'm like picking up,
that's
like
understandable. Yeah,
hold it tight, and then like
you're hitting a nerve over here. Okay, I know your pain. That's actually one of the reasons. Like I love when there's the bend in the card, but I don't perform it because I don't know, I'm like very
exactly,
stickler about keeping my deck in good condition. This deck is
exactly.
like 2 years old and it's still pretty decent. You know, it's still
Yeah,
you can still fan and do all that stuff. So
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't
So
know. I'm crazy about that.
I never used to bend the cards, but then I
Yeah.
realized it worked. Like I did it once, and that video blew up on Instagram, and I was like, I guess I have
It's
to do this
it's
more.
visually so
Yeah,
appealing. It's so great.
yeah, yeah.
I need
And
to
so
do it
I
more
started,
often. I do it
yeah, I
sometimes, but I don't
started
do it that
doing that a
often.
bit more. But in like gigs, where I'm there for 1 2 hours, and I usually don't have multiple cards, so I only work with one deck. I rarely ever, almost never do the bend thing, because
Okay.
it just doesn't make sense to ruin my card so early on.
I want to give you
Yeah.
a little tip because
Yes.
I'm crazy about this.
Yes.
This drives me absolutely nuts. I the reason this deck is 2 years old and still looks decent is because I use a card press. Shh, don't tell nobody. This is like one of the greatest secrets out there to keep a deck alive. You have the
Are
cards
you
bent up,
talk?
you put it in the press.
What is a press? Are you talking like a clip?
It's a no, no, no. See, the clips are okay, but the clips don't press down the cards evenly. I'm talking about a legitimate card press with a hand crank. So it sounds like I'm making some crazy stuff up, but these things exist. I promise. There's different versions out there. There's some
I've
that
never even
where
heard of this.
it'll crank them on the sides. There's a cheaper version and there's a metal version. where it has a big old school crank in the middle. That's the one I prefer. You just have to line the cards up perfectly if you can, and you put them inside of the press. It has a plate on the top, and there's a plate on the bottom, and you crank that down in it, and it cranks them down flat. Now leave it in there for 2 3 days and come back, and it's brand new. Well, close to brand new.
Whoa.
At first, they're gonna be a little sticky, but once you break them up, you
Oh,
do a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
Pharaoh
yeah.
shuffles, and you're gonna have a really good condition deck again. At least
Whoa.
it can't does not help if your deck's dirty, but
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just bent a little bit, you've got a little bit of folds, a little bit of creases here and there, it'll square that up.
Is this press thing made for cards, or is just another thing, but
It's
you
made
use it for cards?
specifically for playing cards. I will send you a link.
Where,
I will find it and send you a link.
all right, all right. That'll be interesting. Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, for 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 gigs, I guess like I go through one deck each gig, but the cards I use to perform outside, that would I don't go through because I don't sign cards outside in the street, so I can reuse
That's
that.
oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. This is I
Yeah.
feel this is something that only magicians care about. I had
Yeah.
a big long conversation with a magician buddy of mine when it comes to signing cards. You perform outside in the real world all the time. Does anybody ever ask you, "Can I sign the card?"
Yeah, no, no one asked for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just want to. I'm going to clip this. I'm going to click this and send it to them because this is very interesting. No, as you know, I'm actually working on an effect right now that I'm probably going to have a couple people collaborate on. It's going to be a, a card to impossible location type of effect. Um, not sure what the name's going to be yet, but it's going to be a whole little project where we go through multiple methods for this.
Mm,
Um, and because I had something sitting on my shelf for about a year that I've been just sitting there, and I'm like, I think I should do something with this. But anyway, the whole thing was um, one of the methods that I have, the card cannot be signed. So I decided to make
mm,
it a whole project where you're going throughout all different methods where it can be signed, it can't be signed,
mm,
ceiling, mouth, just every location you can think of. I'm going to be
mm,
working on that. And that was one of the things that we brought up in conversation. Which the good thing
mm,
about it was, it made me think. You know what? Let's just go over everything, make it an entire project, encasing the entire plot. So
mm,
just going over the plot, giving you a bunch of different methods, um, different presentations for all these things. So that's something I'm working on right now.
mm.
But yeah, that's one of the
That's
things we brought
interesting.
up is about signed cards. And as you know, I like using marked decks, and I don't often get them signed. I had like one deck that I would do it with signatures, but I realized that it was me saying, "Hey, sign the card," versus like nobody cared if the card was signed. They
Yeah,
everybody knows there's 52
yeah.
cards. There's no duplicates. You can show that.
Mm.
So it's just interesting
Yeah,
that you brought that
that
up. I
that
want to talk about that.
that yeah, there are some effects like I would say like if you're working on a card to impossible location, uh, a signature could help because very often when you can share with me your thoughts on this, but I would
Mm.
think when a card is to travel to a different location, there has to be some proof that it's the same card. Um, for
That's
yeah,
where I got it covered. The proof
yeah.
is that in the spectator's hands, they see the card, then it disappears in their hands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So
just performed a little performance video. I'll send it to you afterwards.
yeah, yeah. So there are many, yeah. Like one is signing the card is like I guess the holy grail where like is like the perfect like if you can
Right.
get the signed card over. But the other one magicians use is like a tear, like a corner
Yes.
torn.
We talked
So,
about
so
that too. Yeah.
yeah, so that is a easy way to get around a signature, I guess. To also show that it's the same card. But yeah, I mean, if there is a method like you said where the card disappears in their hand, which is something I perform quite a bit as well. That could work. It could work for sure. although from my experience, although people don't ask to sign a card,
Mhm.
there are certain type of effects where they do question whether the card is the same card or they're duplicate. So um, like you said, you can just ask them to then just go through, because people know that there's one of each cards, but some people would suspect there's duplicates, and then you can say, "I'll just go through, have a look." But as like to for in terms of understanding the beats, sometimes it to get the most impact directly, immediately when a signature comes up, it's like, okay, there's no doubt, there's no need to go through. It's immediately that is my card, and there's no other way. So, in terms of speed and beat, I can understand why sometimes
Right.
sometimes you use it. Yeah. But like you said, most of the time though, I see a lot of magicians signing card when there is no reason to. So I
Right.
agree with you. That's like a thing for me. Like
Yeah.
I just recently today I was looking up an effect, because in a workshop call in the magicians part that in the community, someone spoke about this routine, and so I went up to search this, and it's basically a bill and then a sharpie going through the bill, and they I don't understand. They borrowed the bill and then they used the Sharpie to sign the bill and then do the Sharpie through the bill. And I'm like, there is no suspicion of a switch whatsoever, because the
Right.
bill is literally just there's nothing else. You're just holding a Sharpie. You take the bill, you do the effect. I'm like, why you sign it? What's the point? You just destroyed, you just ruined that bill, but you did nothing else. And same thing, a lot of times cards signed for no reason other than just, yeah, for they
Now
think
that's
that
why I
it's
wanted
needed.
to teach versions where the card is signed also. Um,
Mm,
Simply because I think it is valuable if in
mm,
certain cases for sure.
yeah.
But I found a way around it, and one of the ways that I found around it is if you show the cards here, and I don't know if you know. So there's something psychological. I'm just going to say it's by Ossie Win, that where they're viewing something, and
Yes,
so
yes.
and then you immediately hand it to them, and it disappears. So they're like, I just saw it, and this is the case that of what I just performed. He's like, I just saw it. There's no way. And then the funny part is,
Mm,
it with this method allows you to do things like, so the card ended up in his pocket,
mm,
which is very strong.
yeah,
So it kind of eliminates the need to sign the card when
yeah,
you do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it's very like if I'm doing a sign card, it'd be like sign card to wallet or something like that, or card to pocket, which
Mm,
is very
mm,
strong as well.
mm, mm.
I just don't
Yeah,
sign cards that often, but it
yeah,
is valuable.
yeah, yeah. I would see, like in my professional gigs, like in the streets, I don't bother signing cards. But in professional times, I sign. The reason I get to sign cards, I get people to sign cards is very often to create a memory. So it's usually I hand out the cards, and it feels
Right.
nice. It's just something that feels like a personal touch. Sometimes, yeah. So I usually sign cards, and then do a card to wallet, for example, and then hand out that card. So usually for the host, especially, I'll do something like that with the signed card. Um, of course, if like you get two cards to fuse together, anniversary waltz routine or something, then it makes sense once
Yes.
again. But yeah, but yeah, but I agree.
That routine I think makes it 1,000 times stronger signature.
Yeah, yeah.
So like there's certain routines like that I think it's perfect for that.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
Also like when there's reveals, and you probably know what I'm referring to when there's reveals alongside, like almost there's a reveal, and that's your reason to have them sign, give their
mm, mm.
signature or draw something on the card in the first
Yeah,
place.
yeah,
That's pretty
yeah,
fun too.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of things learn along the way for sure. As you perform more, as you share more magic. Yeah.
What do
What
you what do you
do
think
you?
is? Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. Now, I was gonna ask, where do you get to perform much? And where do you get your most of your experience from? Because I've seen some people who who don't perform in the streets, don't perform for gigs, but they get this sense, they know, they still know, maybe performing for friends, family, colleagues, I don't know, but they still have the sense. So I don't know, like where do you think
Now
you get
I
more
work
experience
a
from?
lot. I work a lot, so I usually do like 12-hour days, 5 days a week,
Yeah,
so around 60 hours or so.
crazy.
So that's the tough part for me. But
Yeah,
every chance I get, like I perform a lot at parties, and I'll do walk around sometimes when I have time.
yeah.
Um, but as
Okay.
far as like gigging, the only thing I've done is parties, like usually
Mm-mm-mm.
house parties and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Now I do have a show that I'm writing, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to actually go out and perform it. I've been
Mm,
working on a 1 hour show, and there's things that I like kind of want to swap out, but I've been writing it and taking my time with it. So I'm looking
yeah.
forward to finally performing that eventually.
Yeah, man, that's interesting because I used to enjoy just writing shows that I don't know when or how I'm gonna perform them. I just enjoy designing a show, and just thinking about how yeah.
This one is like very themed. It's very
Mm,
themed, and it's just this idea that is stuck in my head, which is kind of like see, I'm a big used to love watching movies and stuff like that. And one of the things I used to watch a lot was when I was growing up was like Twilight Zone. I was a big Twilight Zone fan, and there's
mm,
always like this mystery kind of theme behind it. And then there was another show when I was growing up called Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction, and in that show
okay.
they would present stories. And by the end of the show, let's say there's three stories in the show. By the end of the show, you get to determine which shows were fiction and which shows were fact. So that's kind of the
Mm,
idea of the theme behind the show, where you're presenting things that are real, but you're
mm,
also mixing in things that are magic.
yeah.
And so uh, it's kind of like leaving that question in the audience head. What I saw was that real? So
Very
that's kind of
interesting.
the idea
Yeah,
behind the show.
yeah. It reminds me of David Blaine's Real or Magic. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
kind of like that. I mean, he does a lot of stuff that is real, but you know, it
yeah.
looks like magic. So
Have you heard of David Blaine's kind of thinking or philosophy behind the things he choose to do, like the fact that like or why he calls his show Real or Magic? Have you heard much about it before?
well, yeah, it's sort of that same concept.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Which
So
he's a
I
big influence on me in my magic. I mean, have you
mm,
read his book, Mysterious Stranger?
no, I didn't even know he has a book.
Oh my God, it's one of the best reads I've ever read.
David
It's
Blaine.
his story. Yeah, it's called Mysterious Stranger, and I
Oh
recommend this
wow.
book to a lot of people. Right here, Mysterious Stranger.
Ah.
I actually have two copies. I gave one to my father to read recently, but I got this one
Oh.
here. I was lucky enough to get signed. I got this one's here
Whoa.
signed. But if you get a chance, read this book. You can find them on eBay. They're not super expensive. There's okay, so there's some magic in here that is useful, but more than that, it's the stories in here. Specifically, I love the story with about Paul Harris. Are you familiar with Paul
Mm,
Harris?
yes.
Did you know that this man lost everything in a fire?
No.
He lost everything in his house in a fire, everything he created, all his books, everything. And he literally hit the road and now is traveling uh, like a nomad. He travels and
Mm,
performs magic for free, town to town,
mm.
and he just lives off of his like publishing of his books and stuff like that.
Wait, you wait. Oh, I thought you were telling me a story from years ago. So are you saying like Paul Harris, like right
To this
now?
day, still, yes, it's absolutely insane. There's some of the story in this book. He's like the only way I could find him was through his publishing. So when he's like gets sent a check, there's so many, and you have stories in here from like, you got stories in here from back in the day, old magicians. Salvador Dali. There's like so much interesting stuff in
Wow.
this book. Truly amazing. I love this book. I might end up reading it again eventually, but there's just so much good stuff in this book. It's amazing.
Oh, that's
I think
so.
you'll like it.
That's
So I would say more than reading it for, like, you're not reading this book for specifically for the magic content that's in it, but the stories that are in it are so
yeah.
fascinating and interesting. It's mind blowing, truly.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I would. I'm definitely interested in it because one thing I like about David Blaine is, um, not just his magic, but his love for magic. So I can imagine that book would capture quite a bit of it because, like you say, if he's talking
It
about things like
captured my
Salvador
heart.
Dali, yeah, like he's just interested and in love with magic. So that would be an interesting read if it's
And he
David
does tell
Blaine's
his
book.
story too, his origin story, how
Mm,
he got into it, and it's very fascinating. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's
yeah,
pick it
yeah,
up, man. You can get it for very cheap on eBay.
yeah.
Get you a copy, you read it. I guarantee you'll be like, wow, this is one of the best books I've ever read. I
All
loved it.
right, all right. Yeah, that'll be cool. David Blaine, yeah, he's such an interesting character as well. It's just, yeah, he must have gone through a lot in his life, I think. Yeah, yeah.
Have you seen his show that he recently had on National Geographic called Do Not Attempt?
No, I know the show, but I've
Oh
not watched it.
man,
It's
it's
good, huh?
addictive. Once I saw the first episode, it it blows. See, what I don't understand, he's a very unique human being. What I don't understand is how you go to another country and meet somebody with skills that you don't have, ask them to teach you those skills, life threatening skills, by the way. He learns it and then does his own version of what they do. And he
Yeah,
combines multiple dangerous things. I,
yeah,
it's amazing. You can have somebody go around and be a host of the show, but then to actually go ahead and do the things that they're doing that is life
yeah,
threatening and
yeah,
completely insane blows my mind.
yeah. It is wild. Like I know, like RC Win, Daniel Garcia, they're all
Yeah.
consultants of his, and
Yeah.
sometimes they themselves are like discouraging him from certain things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think Ossie Wynn was like, listen, if you do the bullet catch one more time, I'm never gonna talk to you again.
yeah.
Which is, I mean, I don't know if you've seen him do that. That's just absolutely insane what he's doing.
You mean live?
Yeah, he's done it live.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been to his live shows?
No, I want to go. I want to go so bad. He's
Yeah.
still doing them in Vegas.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've heard I don't know, he jumps, he does all the stunts in the
Dislocated
live
his
shows.
shoulder.
Yeah, and then he just pops it back on and continues. I was like,
Continues the rest of the show. I mean, that man is Houdini at heart. That's for sure. Uh,
Exactly, yeah. Houdini is, I think, one of his big inspirations as well. Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, I believe before he died, he was very ill, and he was in pain, like crippling pain, and he continued and finished the show. Curtains closed, immediately collapsed,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
went to the
Something like
hospital.
that.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's pretty nuts. There's actually
yeah,
a big
yeah.
section in that book about Houdini as well.
I can imagine. Yeah, I've so I went to a lecture by Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia, I met him in person. It was incredible. It was such a like he's such a like bubbly, friendly person. I think anyone who watches his video, even if you don't meet him, you know what kind of
He
like
seems like a
joker
cool
kind of.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just super cool. So he was sharing about David Blaine and he said David Blaine has this idea where real or magic came from the fact that David Blaine always wants to build two bridges. One is with magic tricks, and then one with real stunts. And so his goal is to connect these bridges so that people on the bridge no longer knows where they are at. And that's why David Blaine is the really the only magician where people ask me all the time. It's like, do you know David Blaine? And then is what he do, like, is it real? Like what he
It's
does real?
real.
And I'm like, man, like you're exactly where he wants you to be.
bro, that idea is
Yeah.
so brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, and
It's
and
really
that's
something
why
to
he
aspire to.
combines. Yeah, and exactly, it's why he combines like this crazy, impossible looking stunts, and then do high level magic as well, and you just never know then like which is the real thing, and then if yeah,
That's what
and
gets me every single
there,
time.
there's one guy who described it perfectly. So Jared Koff, a magician from US, I, I can't remember exactly which state, but he's incredible magician. One of my top 5 favorite magicians, Jared Koff. And he mentioned that some people can call themselves mentalist, a magician, mind reader, whatever. But what do you call David Blaine? It's just David Blaine.
That's
It's
tough.
like
That is tough. That's
when,
yeah. What
when he said that, yeah, it's just David, it's just David Blaine.
I've heard him refer. I've heard other magicians refer. Excuse me, I'm getting all mixed up. I've heard other magicians refer to him as one of the greatest showmen. I think that's
Hmm.
what you can call him, even
Yeah,
more than
yeah,
one thing specifically, because he's multiple things.
yeah,
He is
yeah.
a showman at heart, for sure.
For sure, and he understood that as well. So I think that's the part which made him such a wild success, where the producers, directors, everyone wanted to show, like when his street magic thing. Like I heard the stories of
Exactly.
the producer director wanted to show the magic, and he was like, "Magic is secondary. Show the reactions first. Like if you miss the magic, it's
He
fine.
changed the
Get the
game.
reactions, and then people are like, what the hell, like people watch you, you're a magician, people want to watch, because before him everything is
You,
focused on a
yeah,
magician, a magician's doing the thing, and and
exactly.
and his thing became the wildest success. And I was like, now we say it
Everyone
like
in the
it's,
world emulates that now.
yeah, yeah, now for us it's like, yeah, of course the reactions is what makes sense, but at that time to think of that is like revolutionary. And so oh, oh,
No, you're good. It
uh,
does that.
yeah, yeah. At that time, so when he said that, I was like, he had the confidence to do that for live, for like a TV show. I'm like, whoa, like he must have been ahead of his time, and he must be thinking differently from most
Absolutely.
people. Yeah, very very interesting. It's like he's the reason street magic is like the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because David Blaine as well.
It can be traced back to him for sure. That's
Yeah,
it's amazing. I think like
yeah,
before he was doing his street magic, there was the world's greatest magic,
yeah.
those specials and stuff like that on television, and those were very cut and dry. Look at the magician, and then when the
Yes.
camera got turned around to the reaction, it's so entertaining because you get to see the
Yeah.
effect and you get to see that
Yeah.
it's something that we never really saw before, that close up
Yeah.
person to person interaction, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. It's almost like getting a little piece of what the magician gets. You get to
Yeah.
witness
Yeah.
that, you get to feel it as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly. And people like to watch people react. So a lot of the times the videos for me as well,
Reactions are big.
yeah. Yeah, it's clearly shown in my like statistics data in my social media analytics. It's like the videos that does the best is not that the effect was interesting or special or unique. The effect can be anything, but it's the person that people like to watch. Um, so there are a couple of ambitious card effects that went crazy, a rubber band thing that went crazy, but it's really because that person reacted in a very interesting way, or like in a
Right.
very unique, very special, very loud way. That is what people like to watch. And then David Blaine figured this out, where like where as human beings you want to you relate to another human being, so you like to watch and vicariously experience that, because you're not there, you're watching a camera. So watching another human react is what is like relatable and validating. So that's what makes the magic more real as well. So his magic became even more real than the ones that focuses on the magic, and people
Right.
feel his magic even more because we see the reaction to his magic. So, but
It
yeah,
was sort
it's
of like a tidal wave, man. Because if you look at it, look at nowadays, the people that have entire channels that just react to music, they just react
yeah,
to film, they just react to XYZ.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, if you look at it, you
yeah,
could trace it all
exactly.
back to him. It's amazing.
That's actually very true. That's actually
Yeah.
very true. I never thought of that. because now there is like a whole thing of like reaction videos.
Reaction
So
channels. Yeah,
yeah,
entire channels for reactions where people,
yeah,
and they're very popular, like very,
yeah,
very
yeah.
popular. Yeah,
Yeah, I never thought of that. That could actually, yeah, that could be David Blaine could be the first person who, like,
exactly.
who came up like
A pioneer.
yeah, made this thing like a thing and made people realize the power of the reaction. So that's so interesting. I never thought of the outside of magic side of things. So yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
What was your favorite reaction? Because I know if we were to bring it back to David Blaine, he says his favorite reaction was from this coin vanish. I don't know if you ever seen it. Okay, so you
The
know what I'm
kid.
talking about.
Yes.
Oh, I remember the first time seeing it. I couldn't understand why I was so excited about that, but it hit me so hard. I'm like, oh, that's so good.
Oh
Um,
man. It was
what
really
was your
special
favorite
hearing.
reaction? One that sticks in your head?
Yeah. Yeah. To me, it was someone who teared. Like that, I think
Mm,
is like you don't
that's
get it
tough.
very often. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't get it very often. And to me, a pet peeve of mine is when magicians try to pull heartstrings and they
Mm,
try to like talk about they try to make it emotional. For example,
right.
there's a
Force
magician
it.
who perform, yeah, like I went on stage for this magician and he was performing this thing and it's like imagine like can you see your grandfather like, and I'm like, he said like, is your grandfather still around? And I said no. And then like I'm not a very emotional person, so and I knew that I felt the emotional manipulation and it turned me off. And I was like, yeah, imagine, like
I agree.
what he would be saying to you or the love. I'm like, that's like the cut the crap kind of thing. It's like and I think they are hoping that they can bring this emotion out and feel special that their magic is emotional, but actually it's so shallow that they have to overtly say something like that to pull your heartstrings and imagine this
Oh
imaginary thing.
man,
Yeah, it's a big pet peeve of mine. I hate it
you're
when
hitting a
magicians do
nerve.
that.
You're hitting a nerve on
Yeah,
my end too because
yeah.
I think about it in terms of like people who are playing psychics
Ah,
who
yes.
are utilizing the same methods that we do for mentalism. They're
Yeah,
parlor tricks, magic tricks. Really, that's
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And but the bad part is that how they're manipulating the people. They're taking their money and
yeah.
they're giving them false
Correct.
information and false.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
am against that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I remember like a couple of years ago, that was a huge thing in my mind, and I often spoke about that with people as well. And yeah, for sure, it's similar thing. It's like magicians talk bad about these psychics and stuff, but they don't realize they are trying to manipulate you in this way as well, in a not
Right.
very honest way. So, um, when I performed and the person cried, it was not because I always like to clarify this. Like I never spoke about anything emotional,
Right.
and that was the part that was very special for me because it was just the moment was right, everything was right, lighting moment, the people, the beats, everything felt right and hit the right spot where it would just felt so beautiful that the person cried and they was like, can I get a hug? It was the most beautiful thing I've seen. And that I still remember. It was in a restaurant. Actually, I was doing like a residency gig, so I have this restaurant where I go to. And but yeah, it was a couple, and this girl was like had tears in her eyes, and she just loved it. And honestly, like I can tell you, I just did um my version of the ambitious card, and then a card to wallet. And so it was nothing really like out of this world unique, but that made her tear. And it was Nate Standing Forth. Have you heard of Nate Standing Forth? Nate Standing Forth.
Mm-mm.
He's the guy who came up with the lottery illusion. The lottery. Have you seen
Lottery
the effect where
lottery ticket.
magicians? Yeah, lottery ticket. Yeah.
Okay.
So Nate Standing Forth is the guy who initially created this, and he's one of my once again top five favorite magicians. He's one of them. Nate Stanford is a big inspiration of mine. He said this very interesting thing. Whenever people ask him how do you perform in such a way that it hits everything, and his answer blew my mind and is so honest and so true. He said all of us are, like magicians, we're trying to create that moment where the perfect alignment of everything and it's a miracle and the person just feels the magic so deeply. But he said so honestly that it doesn't always happen. And as a professional magician, he performs
That's
thousands of
true.
times. He said, because there's so many factors, the lighting, the sound, the music, the people around, how they're reacting, everything, the stars have to align. And then out of maybe 10, 20, 30 gigs, one show will hit the nerve. And he said, even if I want to, I cannot replicate it because I can perform the same thing the same way, but if the lighting may not be right, the music was not right, the people were not the right people, or the time of day, how the energy was not right, it wouldn't have been right. But if the stars align, all these little factors align, some days you hit the level of miracle. And and
Right.
and he talks about this, and it was so beautifully put, and that stuck to me a lot. So that tear reaction where the person cried, I attributed it to that because I'm like, I performed the routine hundreds or maybe thousands of times already, like card, sign card to wallet, give it up, and it's one of the most powerful things I do. But I perform it almost similar. The pattern is quite the same. I tweak it a bit for different people, but that night it was just the right time. Like the lighting was perfect. The mood was there. They were a sweet couple, very very beautiful people, very friendly, very nice people, and they were talking. So I had a chat with them. So that created the relationship, and then I did it, and the beat was just right as well. I still remembered it. It was slow. It was deliberate. I don't know why I chose to do it that way. It felt right, and then boom, when it happened, everything, like the tears came down, and then I was like, whoa, like that was a
Sometimes
special
I
moment.
believe it's just that moment where they forget their problems. Just for that, it could be 3 4 seconds, and you bring back that childlike wonder, and you just for the smallest amount of
Yeah,
time
yeah.
that can invoke that type of emotion.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually a good way to put it. Like forget all the problems, and Paul Harris had a very interesting way of describing it as well. He 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 described it in his book, The Art of Astonishments, but I can't fully remember now. He talked about the experience of wonder. Um, yeah, he talked about that moment where it's like your mind goes back to when you were a baby. It's like
Right. That
completely,
childlike
yeah,
wonder. Right.
yeah. The childlike,
Exactly.
like it's like a blank. There's nothing, nowhere to go to. It's like a black hole kind of thing. He described it in a very interesting way. I forgot
Yeah.
exactly. I have to go read it again. But yeah, it's something like that, and some people get so deeply affected that it hits them. And I have this. I write my thoughts down every once in a while, and I remember writing this about moments like this. I'm like, um, it's hard to replicate these moments over and over. Like today, I created
Right.
this moment so beautiful, miraculous, kind of like childlike wonder. Tomorrow, I may not be able to do it because some factors, even if I perform the exact same way as I did, it may not happen because of other factors. But I say what I wrote was the experience, or the more masterful the magician is, the higher the hit rate of it, because the
Right.
more he understands, there are variables which you can control, and then there are the ones that you can't. So the
Right.
masterful, very experienced magician would be much more in control of the variables. So let's say 3 out of 5 things he has covered, and so he gets the 3 out of 5 things exactly right almost 90% of the times. And then there's some chances where the 2 out of 5 come in, and then that
Just
hits five
align.
over
Right.
five. Yeah, just a line. And but then when you're not so experienced, even the 3 out of 5 is a hit and miss. It's sometimes
Right.
it hits. So like that day, for example, like it was me, my experience feeling okay. This is the right beat for the right moment. It wasn't a rush. Sometimes it's like an upbeat kind of thing. That time was like a more deliberate. I paused longer than usual. I remember I just felt like that was the right thing. So this kind of thing makes me think about it, and I'm like, I need to be more in the present, in the moment, to feel what is right in that moment. Yeah, but it's not every day you get something like that. But that was probably the most memorable reactions for me. Yeah.
Now you just mentioned something that I find interesting, that moment of pause, which is something I think that uh, too many magicians do, is rush through the effect. They try to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
to the reveal, they try to get to the end, they try to get,
yeah,
instead of taking that time and learning that pace, which is really, really
yeah,
valuable.
yeah.
And this
It
is stuff
is
that even I'm guilty of sometimes, especially
same.
when doing new effects, because I just want to see, is it going to work?
Yeah, yeah,
Want to go through the paces of it, but really when you
yeah.
take that time, that's when those beautiful things happen.
It is very true. Like I still am guilty of doing that, and but it's a thing that is very real. So Ben Earl said it in a very beautiful way. He said something that really changed my way of approaching things. He said that if you perform a routine with multiple phases, like the ambitious card, you
Right.
take each phase as if it is the final thing. You don't you must really feel and perform as if that every phase when it ends, the climax hits, when the card comes up, give it the moment in time as if it was the finale. And so what and when I watched him perform, I was like, oh man, he really lives to what he said. Because when he performs the ambitious card, which I've seen on video, um, he pauses as if it's done, and people kind of like run away, or they're like relaxed, completely relaxed, and then he pulls him back in. There's more, and then the second phase hits, and then it feels like, it feels like this is it, and then he pulls in. There's more. There's three and four phases, and then at the end, boom, and then that's it. But it's very true, because when you treat each phase like this is it, there's nothing more. This is it. You give a lot more to it. You give the pause, and you let the magic sink in, which is very, very important. A lot more important than I think people realize. When the magic
Right.
doesn't sink in, the power of it doesn't quite come out. So you work a lot harder for less reactions or less emotions. You could, like I said, I do that one phase, the first phase of the ambitious card, where in their hands it's just ambitious card, but people experience that so much deeper than just the first, second phase, three phases. I sometimes even just do that one phase and end right there. So I practice by doing that. I'm like, okay, let me try just taking a three
Mm.
phase thing, just do one phase and practice just making that a thing. And then I can kind of rewire my brain to like, okay, I have to pause. This is good enough in itself. I have to trust it. Yeah.
Now I absolutely can see influence from Benjamin Earl, who is one of my favorite magicians. So shout
Yes.
out to Ben Earl, shout out to the family,
Yeah.
shout out to Unreal Card Magic,
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
Ben Earl's great. He really is.
He's incredible. Once again, top five magicians. He's one of them. So I think I already
Matter
named
of fact, let's
three.
go through that, because yeah, you've already named three. Let's hear your top five. I don't know if I have a top five because I have so many favorites, and I don't want to be biased, but it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. I can say I have a
Yes.
number one favorite, unfortunately.
Oh, David Blaine.
David Blaine is my number one favorite of all time, and
Ah.
that's me being very biased because of the way I grew up. Like that was my initial interest in it.
Yes.
When I
Yes.
knew it was
Yes.
coming out, I was like, okay, nobody watched that on TV. It was back in the
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Back in the
my.
day, I was like, "Man, we had to get the antenna just right.
Oh my gosh.
I
Wait.
got a lot of memories of that.
Quick question. You mentioned about David Blaine's that latest thing. Is there? How can I watch it now? Is there
Ooh,
a way I
okay,
can?
perfect. You can watch it directly on YouTube. You can buy the entire season. It's not very expensive. I highly encourage anyone, you also, but anyone watching this, go buy that. You won't be disappointed. It's absolutely amazing.
Mm, okay, so on YouTube. All right, that's
YouTube's where I
interesting.
purchased it. I've purchased films and a couple other shows through YouTube. But that's probably like the number one place I would go to recommend it. It's not very expensive for the entire season, so you don't have to. You can buy per episode, but it's cheaper just to get the whole season.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Because it's not
and
on Netflix or something, right?
I don't think I haven't found it anywhere
Yeah,
else,
yeah, it probably is
so I'm
not
not sure.
National Geography. So yeah, yeah.
Right.
All right, cool. I might. Yeah, but okay. So you mentioned mm, David Blaine, number one.
Yeah,
But it's hard. Like you said, it's
it's tough.
hard
I
to
don't. If I had to pick a top five, I would be here struggling. I'd look at these books and then I don't know.
yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one
Yeah.
because there's
For
so
me,
many.
I picked my top five. I think is in terms of like people whose magic really moved me or inspired me very like my current way of performing or helped me get to that next stage. For me, I'll just say so like uh there's Jared Koff, Nate Staniforth, Ben Earl, Teller from Penn and Teller specifically, and oh man, the fifth one. Let me think. There was two people who sort in and out. So in the past, I would have said Ben Hart. Uh, so
Okay,
you've heard of Ben Hart, yes?
I have. Yeah.
So Ben Hart was a huge when he first went to Britain's Got Talent, and I hardly ever watched these sort of things, but for some reason, like his magic was like extraordinary. And then I got his book, and his book really changed how I saw magic as well. But then, unfortunately, I saw him perform live, and it
Mm,
was very bad. And
mm.
it really crushed me because he was like I looked up to him, and his books were great, and the Britain's Got Talent shows was like mind blowing, and when I saw him live, I'm like, oh man, it's so underwhelming. It was really disappointing. It's one of the more disappointing shows. Yeah, I don't know. I've watched him live two times now, so yeah. But maybe it caught him in
Were they
a bad
both
show. And
misses?
yeah, both
Oh
weren't.
man,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
tough.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think what happened was my vision of him was from TV, Britain's Got Talent, and then at that time I learned like after watching him, I learned that man, all these Got Talent shows, like the lighting, the music, the post production, everything they make it so perfect. They
Yeah,
can make someone a star or they can make someone look completely bad.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's TV.
yeah.
I think
And
there's a difference between TV magic and magic performed on TV, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think absolutely right. And that's why like people often ask me like, oh, am I thinking of going to Got Talent, like America's Got Talent or Australia's
Right.
Got Talent? I'm like, I don't know because I've heard so many stories about it at this point because in the entertainment industry, I have friends who've gone on AGT, like Australia's Got Talent, and then they get all three yeses by the judges, but they don't go on to the next stage. I'm like, what? Like
What?
that, and they are surprised as well. And then they get this chunk of papers to sign like 5-10 minutes right before they go up on stage. And you don't even fully know what you're signing, and it,
Oh man.
and you are stressed. You are about to go live, and then they get you to sign all these papers,
Yeah, that's
and that
heartbreaking.
yeah, and I hear people like I have another person I know who they said a producer or director of I I think like an assistant producer or something came up to him and said that, "Hey, do you want to join this Got Talent show? I can guarantee you a spot in the semifinals." And we're like, "Isn't it by vote? Like, what do you mean guarantee you a spot in the semi?" like, yeah, and
That's TV
yeah,
for you.
yeah, and then that's when I realized, oh my gosh, okay, of course, like it's TV, and then it's not really who does the best. And so there was a period where I actually tried to sign up for Australia's Got Talent. And then I realized when I was signing up, there were pages of like to register, pages to sign up, to fill up information, and hardly anything talked about what your act was. But they were trying to get some sort of sob story out. They were asking some background, all the questions that is unrelated to
Yeah.
my work. Because they're trying to get some sort of emotional story, and if you have some emotional story, then you might be considered.
Regardless of how good your act is, if
Yeah.
you have what's going to pull the heartstrings, you're going to be first.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was when I was like, halfway through the registration, I just quit because I'm like, it's just talking
Yeah.
about your life, asking about all these things. I'm like, you know what? Like I'm done. I just stopped the registration. Yeah.
I don't blame you. I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big separation between one of the ones that hit me really hard was Chris Angel's Mind Freak. So watching his
Oh,
show before being a magician and then watching it after is completely
yes.
different.
Yes.
Man,
Yes.
it
Yes.
is. Now I'm not trying to talk bad about the man, but there's just certain things that we look down upon that
Yes.
he did in that television show a lot. And you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. If you've
Yeah.
ever seen any clips online or anything like that, or if you've
Yeah.
ever
It's
actually seen the show.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, what do you think about David Blaine? What do you think about Dynamo? What do you think of Chris Angel?" Very often, my answer is always the same. I'm not afraid to say I'm like, there's some people we respect and some people we don't in the Magic
Right.
community. And David Blaine, legit, he's you can love him, like But then there's people like
Yeah.
Chris Angel where he does things where as a magician, it's not possible to do it from
Right.
this angle with people reacting behind you. And if they're reacting, it's not true. And then you realize,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, everyone here, the 50 people around you is paid. And that's when it's like, oh man,
That's the
uh,
heartbreaking part to where see, I
yeah,
think that's the difference if you were to look at those two. You have one who's performing things that we know,
yeah,
certain things we know what he's doing, what he's performing,
yeah,
and he's performing it for live people. So he's performing real magic or our
yeah,
type of magic
yeah,
on television versus performing the television magic.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Man,
that's why
that one's
yeah,
tough. Yeah.
David Blaine is so respectable because he even told, I think there has been many kind of recommendations or suggestions to perform certain type of magic, and he was like a hard no to all the things. So his philosophy was, he told the producer and director that I wouldn't perform anything that I couldn't perform outside of TV. And he had
Right.
this rule, and it's like, if I perform this on TV, I must be able to perform it like in real life, like in a normal
Right.
scenario. So he had that down, and so he stuck to that, which was very respectable, because on TV there's so many things you can do, but he didn't take the shortcut. He just chose to do what he needed to do. There's some things like I still don't understand. Like, is he like so way ahead of his time, or like sometimes he'll be setting up a card trick right in front of, like,
Oh yeah,
and it's on TV. Like, he'll be setting up for the two card Monty, which he always does. Like, he'll be setting the trick up, and
man.
we'll all we'll all see him set it up, but he'll just
And
not
still,
cut it out. He just chose to put it in, and I'm like, what kind of magician would choose to put the setup
bro,
in? Yeah,
I
he's
have
he's a,
seen this man. I have literally seen this man set up the entire. Let me put this: the entire one Tamariz, and right in front of the spectator. So you already know what I'm referencing. So
yeah,
just completely right in front of them, which is
yeah.
amazing. And let me tell you something. That is something I've tried, and man, I can. The steps are so tedious. I have it's tough. That's a tough one. Then you have to be very perfect with
Yeah.
your pharaohs and
Yes,
oh man.
yes.
But I've literally seen him set this up completely and then go into to kill the audience, which
Yeah,
is pretty crazy.
that's crazy. Yeah, yeah. David Blaine's one of a kind for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Ah,
respect anybody that can set that up. I've seen a couple different people do it, like that can do it that quickly like that. Wow.
mm. I've never actually seen, yeah. I've never actually seen people stack up, because I know there's ways to stack that up from a new deck order, but I've
Mhm.
never seen it live. Like, that would be quite interesting to see.
If I can find the video, I'll send it to you. But it was just wild to see him set it up right there. Like he literally opens a brand new deck of cards, and he goes right through the whole process. I know what he's doing because I've read it in Mnemonica. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
watching it and I'm like, I I can't get it down. That's going to take
Yeah.
a little bit more practice to be that quick with it because it's
Yeah,
crazy.
wow.
You got to be on point perfectly with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that.
One thing I learned, like a big thing, I think, I do that I learned from David Blaine. I think if I was to give one person credit, the biggest one would be to David Blaine, which is to take risks. Um,
Yeah.
David Blaine take risks like you never imagine, and he would when things are set in stone already, and if the person changes their mind, you are completely dead. Like you completely screwed yourself over. But he would still ask them, "You sure you don't want to change your mind?" And, he would ask these kind of things, and he would give them the deck of cards or things like that. So I do that a lot in my performance now because maybe after while performing, I know even
Oh,
if
so good point.
yeah, I know like what's the worst that could happen? Okay, I cannot go on with this thing. I'll just flow into something else. But the fact that I give them that option takes the thing to the next
Psychologically.
level and really messes with them because this is something they think about way later on as well. And so David Blaine, I remember even on his TV stuff, like like those were the things in my early time, like early years in magic, those were the things that really messed with my head because I'm like, but he asked them if they wanted to change their mind. And that was the thing that fooled the hell out of me until many years later. I'm like, oh, like that's when I realized he was just a big risk taker,
Psychologically speaking, I think there's this book that I read it and I can't remember. I think it might be by Joshua J, but he talks about percentages and like um, things
Ah,
along those lines. So, what is the percentage if you ask someone if they want to change their mind
yeah,
that they actually will change their mind versus people that want to stay there? And I think it's something like 90 something percent of people are going to say, no, no,
yeah,
no, I don't want to change my mind
yeah,
because they feel like you're trying to get them to change their mind. So
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
automatically makes them defensive to not want to change their mind.
Yeah, yeah. And then on top of that, you stack certain word choices, you stack
Yeah.
certain head nods or body language, and then you can push it up to 95% even sometimes, and it's almost guaranteed that you'll get it your way. But of course, there's still that risk, and that's the part I never understood in the past with David Blaine. Is like this is a TV show, like this is a crew for maybe like Will Smith, it's like a big thing. You cannot screw this up, and you still took the chances. Like that's what made him David Blaine. Like, like
So good.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
like the thing that comes up to my mind is David Blaine performing for I don't know if you remember this, but Will Smith family, Jaden Smith,
Yeah.
and
Clearly.
he was doing RC Wins effect where you take a photo of the
Double
triumph,
exposure.
double exposure, and he did it all already, and he asked Jaden Smith in a very clear way, like, "You can change your mind. Do you want to change your mind?" And I'm like, "What is he thinking?" Because this was like a you don't it's like you can't just re-perform it for Will Smith family and get the same reaction. You cannot like that's it, and you did all the moves you needed already. You cannot change at this point, but
Everything's done.
he still get him to he still asked the question. So yeah, I was like, what is he thinking? But that made him and so at that point, like after everything, Jaden Smith was there. I was like, but I could have changed my mind. He said that, and
That's
that was when
that's the
yeah,
nail on
that
the
was
head.
when I was like, that was what he's so good, so brilliant, genius.
And every once in a while, I've catched moments where somebody did change their mind, and he
Yeah.
still pulls like, what kind of multiple outs does this man have when he still pulls off a miracle and they change their mind?
Yeah, yeah. I,
Wow.
a very quick story, right? Maybe it's a bit late now. Maybe we can end with this quick story about David Blaine.
You're
Yeah,
completely free. Go ahead.
yeah. So I have a friend who I met because he came for a big arts festival here in Adelaide. He's from India. He's one of the most like famous Indian magicians. His name is Karan Singh. So I met him because of that and became friends afterwards. And so, actually, you would know Karan Singh because if you watch David Blaine's that last special where he went to India to learn all these things, and then there
Yeah.
was one guy who brought him around India to show him the things,
When he was learning
and
spouting, right?
I don't fully remember what, but there was so I
Okay.
think if I'm not wrong, every country he went to, he met with the magicians there, and there was
Right.
so when he went to India,
Okay.
that one magician with a ponytail, the Indian magician who brought him around to
Yeah,
meet
yeah,
the
yeah.
different. So that is Karan Singh. So I met,
Okay.
yeah, I met him. I met him when he came over here to do his show, and at that time, this was 3 years ago, and that time this special wasn't out yet. So he was telling us in secret, it's like, dude, I'm filming something with David Blaine, like, and he said like this is. And he's for him, David Blaine is his idol. He grew up watching David Blaine, and David Blaine was the reason he did magic, and now he's like the biggest magician there, biggest mentalist in India. So he told me that, dude,
That's
I'll tell you this
amazing.
story. Yeah, and he told us this wild story about David Blaine. He said David Blaine is just this odd character, like very interesting even in real life. It's not just on TV,
Yeah.
it's just odd character. And he would sometimes rush people along to do something, and he's such a perfectionist. He sometimes will get angry, like frustrated that people are not filming the right way he wants it, But more than that, he's a very interesting, very nice person. And then he go around performing two card Monty around the streets of India. So he's just going around, kept performing, and he loved performing magic. He just never got enough of it. He just loved performing over and over again. And and so every time he performed it, David Blaine has this twist to two card Monty where he'll ask someone to name a number between 1 and 10, and usually it's always 7. He forces the number 7, and then the two cards in the hands, the person just says 7, and then turns out the two card is swapped to a 7, right? And that is a huge thing for what David Blaine was doing. And then one day, David Blaine was doing this thing, and he knew Karan was watching. And Karan told me he felt like David Blaine did this just for Karan, like just for him, because he knew a magician was watching. And so this guy said, just randomly, he said 9 instead of a 7. And then Karan was like, oh, like, I want to see how David Blaine like handles this. And then David Blaine was just like the same thing. He just like turn over. And the guy turn over was 2 9s. and,
So good.
and all the camera crew, or everyone was just jaw dropped because they all were so used to the 7. And then when this person out of nowhere said 9 and the turnover was a 9, him, the magicians around, the camera crew, everyone was just blown away because yeah. But anyway, that was
There's
the
so
story.
many things. Little there. See, that's the thing that gets me. See, I'll watch him perform an effect, and there's so much of it that I understand, and then he'll come and hit me with something like
Yeah.
that. I'm just like, but wait a minute. Hold
Yeah,
on here. Hold
exactly.
on. What?
Yeah. But
Crazy,
yeah,
crazy.
it's crazy. Yeah, David Blaine, interesting, very interesting guy. I'd love to meet him one day, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to have him on here one day. Hopefully,
Oh, that would
let's.
be cool.
I'm gonna keep knocking on wood for that one,
Yeah.
But yeah, what the seven thing? There's something interesting I learned from Alex Bandrea about the seven force. If you ask someone to name a number between 1 and 10, psychologically speaking, they're more inclined to either name
Yeah.
7 or 3, right?
Yeah.
So one way you can force seven is, which I've done also, and it seems to work pretty good. It's a pretty high hit rate. Is when you go to just think of a number, and now you go into saying say it, but you almost like stutter before you say it,
Ah.
and it makes them think of 7, and they instantly say 7. So there's a timing
Ah.
with it, but that's something you
Yeah.
might want to play around with because I've found some success there.
That's interesting. When I do that, I've tried performing the two card Monte the way David Blaine did it, where the two
Mm,
cards turn to a 7.
yeah,
Like it's one of the strongest things. Like because it just hits a level of miracle where you cannot switch
yeah,
at that point. Someone just said a number. They could have said any number in their head, and then in their hands already, there's no more swapping, no more touching, and then they just. So it's one of those miracle level kind of things. So the way I did it is more safe. Usually I would say I want you to just think of a number between 1 and 10. For example, like I like number 3, but you can just name, I would say 3. So
that's another one.
that
Yeah,
immediately
eliminates
takes it
that.
out. So but that is like I guess a more safer way to do it. But this is interesting. I'm
But
always
you can
looking out for
still use that and use that little stutter to say it. Go ahead and say
push it
it,
even further. Yeah.
and that might push them towards that. So
Yeah, yeah,
That's something fun to play around. I love stuff like that. Little
yeah.
psychological subtleties that you throw in
Oh
here and
man,
there that really make things strong. And I
Darren,
know that's got to
Darren,
hit hard when they turn over and it's the same number they said.
yeah, yeah. Darren Brown has so much work on psychological forces.
Yeah,
Um, uh, like I don't know, like it's very hard to find now, but his old like DVDs or I don't know, like tapes where it was, I think, Devil's Picture Book. I
yeah,
don't know if you're familiar with, but I think that's the one where he goes through psychological forces of playing cards, and it's to the extent where he will go up to someone, takes a playing card out, asks them to put it in their pocket, and so there's no way he can escape this anymore. That is it. And he would force them the card, and he would there's like five different cards he know how to force. Like I think he can force the uh three of hearts, the seven of hearts, like many, like quite a number of cards where he can just nail it just based on psychological forces and a word choice. It's incredible when I saw him do that. It fooled the hell out of me until I realized what he was doing. But even then, it didn't feel real. Like it didn't feel like it was possible, you know. But he was way another guy who was way ahead of his time, Darren Brown.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, when it comes to stuff like that, Darren Brown he's probably number one in the world, I would think.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Peter Turner's really good with that as well.
Yeah.
Big fan of his work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Peter Turner is probably like if not Darren Brown, it would be Peter Turner. I think Peter Turner is the one other guy who took things to another level. Like
For
he did
sure.
it his way. So I would even put him on par with someone like Darren Brown, and because he just did it his
Yeah,
way, and he ran with ideas, and he came up with incredible ideas. Yeah, he's a huge like influence as well. I don't do much of his stuff, but I was just
right.
so inspired by his way of thinking. I was like, whoa, there could be someone like this, and yeah,
Sometimes I watch, I'll watch things that he performs, and it just blows me away because I'm just like, man, could I get away with that? How would I get away with that? And it's
yeah,
just some of this stuff is like
yeah,
he's so good at it. It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just mind blowing, even knowing what he's doing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
It is well, yeah, it's crazy, and he takes a lot of risks and a lot of chances as well. But then again, like I realize as well, people who take these risks are because they just are so confident and so comfortable with making mistakes, and they just
Yeah,
know that if something goes wrong, like you can just float. So one, I didn't realize I was doing so much of this that I get comments or messages all the time. And it's like, what if this goes wrong? Like, what if you ask them to change it? But what if it goes wrong? Then I realized, like, oh man, they're asking questions about me that I was asking about David Blaine, like Peter Turner. And then I
exactly.
realized, oh
Yeah,
man, to me, it's like no big deal. I'm like, I'll just flow into something else. Like, I'll just do something else. But for people who don't realize that, it was like, oh, it's a big thing for them. And so when I see Peter Turner, I remind myself, I'm like, oh, this guy is just another level, and he's just comfortable in another level, and yeah, but yeah, yeah,
yeah. There's so
it's
many amazing
fascinating.
people out there, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And definitely, you are one of those amazing people out there. That's why I wanted to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, thank you. I try. I'm still working on it. I love magic, so um, I, when I started this, the Magician's Path, this membership where I kind of uh, teach, teach my work, share magic. This was what sparked my love for magic back again because after like a couple of years of doing it professionally, you stop practicing magic. I haven't read magic books in maybe 3 years, 4 years. I stopped creating new stuff really. You just do the same because you don't really have time as well. And you're just
Right.
always performing so much. And when you come back, you're like, ah, man, like it just becomes work. And you're
Fall
thinking
into
of
a
the
loop.
next gig, preparing for the next gig. And and you don't really and I was quite sad because when I first started out I was like, oh, I love magic so much, and so it makes sense to make it a career. But when it became a career I stopped liking magic because I realized why I like magic is because I loved reading the books. I loved thinking about the things. I loved reading the theory. I loved coming up with effects. But
Creating, yeah.
none of that like went on when I started being a professional as I went further and further down. So now having this group, this membership, this magician's path, it forces me to now revisit old stuff, pull out my notes. I'm starting to read books again, and I'm like going through old stuff and coming up with new methods and studying magic, reading the theory, and that got me excited again. I'm like, oh my gosh! And this is why I started and loved magic at the very beginning. You know, so I'm very happy at this point. I think I'm like I'm able to create, study magic, and then apply it in the real world whenever I want because I get the performance time also. So I can it's as good as like I can come up with something. I'm like, okay, I can try it out in 2 days time. You know, I know I'll get the opportunity to try it. So
Now, for
it's
everybody
good.
watching, I highly recommend you join the Magician's Path. I'm a member myself. Join us
Yes.
in this wonderful. There's so many good effects. First of all, if you haven't seen Benedict's work, check out his work. These are the types
Yes.
of effects that you'll be learning in the classes, and I highly recommend it. Also, if you want to learn more about this, you can DM Mist,
Yeah.
right?
Mist, yeah, MYST, I guess, yeah. Just message me
Yes.
on Instagram or TikTok. Just message me the word mist, and I will know you're interested in this, and I'll send you more info. But yeah, it is going to be, I think, uh, almost like this is the big project that I'm gonna work on for I don't know, a good part of my life. I think this is going to be it. Because it started by accident. I didn't expect it until social media came in 6 months ago, and then yeah,
What inspired you to start?
yeah. I never liked teaching magic. I felt like there was just so much out there already, and I didn't want to add to it, and I just generally just didn't like it. But then when I started social media, the reason I started social media is actually to help my gigs. I was hoping
Right.
build the social media following, then maybe people will start inquiring for gigs, or people who are on the fence considering me versus them. They go to my social media, it's like, okay, this guy is bigger, this guy's more following. I choose him instead. This guy more experience, maybe. Because that's what I realized happening. People clients don't know better. They just go based on following and social media clout because
Right.
they think just because you are famous on social media, even a kid doing tricks for TikTok on the screen who does not know a thing about performing in real life gets booked instead of this established, experienced magician. And that's when I know, okay, the system is screwed. If I want to win, I just have to play the game. So I went on social media trying to build it up. I know I have the experience, but I'm still losing to this people who are doing social media tricks. And so I built social media up. But then halfway through, I started getting comments and a lot of messages from magicians all around the world, and professionals to hobbyists, everyone asking me if there's something where there's a place where I can learn your work, or can I get your guidance? Can I get like a private like tutoring or something like this? I'm like, maybe there's something in here. And then I thought about teaching, which I didn't really like. And then I thought about, is there a way that I can teach that I'll be proud of? Is there a way that I can teach that I'll be happy with? And then it was this where teaching that is very much based on uh, uh, almost like a college, like there are the foundations. You know, if you go through from the beginning, you don't need to know a single thing. You come in, you can master it in the right way. So I teach it. I reference no, I don't actually. There's one thing I don't do much is I don't reference a lot of things in the classroom, which probably have to improve on. But for myself, I often go back to books. Like one of the books I often go back to is Roberto Giobbi's Card College.
Hard college. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those getting into magic, if you don't want to spend too much money, honestly, Card College.
Highly
If
recommend it.
yeah, if you learn everything in Card College, volume volume one alone will give you enough material to to be a professional, honestly, if you learn two, three, four, you just be an expert in card magic more than
Yeah.
99.9% of magicians. So a lot of things like the finger positioning, I revisit, I study it again before I teach it. So because I want to teach it right, I want people to learn it right instead of just learning a cool trick and then not be able to. So there are those people who just want to learn one or two tricks. So very often when they DM me, I'm like, if you just want to learn one or two tricks, don't bother paying me. Just go to YouTube. There's tons of cool stuff that you can learn. Just go learn that, and you'll be fine.
Right.
But if you're genuinely serious about, because I'm going to spend my time with the people in the membership. So they DM me all the time. They ask me, they send me videos or they post, and I have to spend my time. So I want to spend time with people um, who are genuinely interested to take their magic to the next level. Who are stuck maybe, who want to do something that other people don't quite do, want to think differently. So that was the whole point, and that made me think, okay, if it's this kind of thing, I would be happy to teach. I would happy to share and even create a community where like-minded people can kind of just jam, post ideas, which you guys do, which is
Right.
so great. Um, and that's why almost every month since the beginning, we have had a bonus release. So usually it's like one or two slides and then two effects every month, and then exploration theory kind of video. But almost every month since the beginning, 3 4 months ago, we've had three effects instead of two, because one is a bonus from another member because of people sharing stuff. This month we had a bonus. Next month we're going to have a bonus as well, but it's all from ideas in the community, which is my goal from the very beginning. I was like, this is actually something I planned way ahead, even before starting. I'm like, I'm gonna make it a community where people share ideas, and I'm gonna give them that feeling like, like it's possible you can create cool stuff as well. It's not just about learning stuff, but also thinking for yourself and jamming together and coming up with ideas. Um, yeah, but anyway, so yeah, that's that's
I
that's how it
find
came up.
it really important to revisit fundamentals. I feel like there's a
Mm,
lot of magicians out there that don't do enough of that.
yeah, yeah, for
You
sure.
gotta, I mean, having a good foundation, you can build a wonderful house on top of it
Yeah,
if you have a
you,
good
you see,
foundation.
I can do quite, like magician would say, some crazy stuff, like uh, some fancy palming, some fancy sleights. But
Right.
if you see the things that I actually do in the real world and for gigs and stuff, like it's basic stuff done with good subtleties, good timing, good beats, and
Right.
that I think is the hardest thing to teach. That's why I think very often people say like, "Oh, aren't you afraid that there's so many reveals or there's so many things on TikTok, Instagram?" And I'm like, I'm not too afraid. At the past, I was like worried, but now I'm like the secret, the like real to me, the real secrets of magic is very hard to teach. To me, the real secrets is like you would know, like people might know a double lift, but when they see you do a double lift, maybe they will not recognize it as a double lift. Like a beginner
Right.
may see an expose on TikTok, was like, oh, the double lift is how you do it. But how many times have I performed for someone who already knows the double lift, but they don't,
And they didn't
no
see it
one
at
doing it
all.
right to them at all. Like, it's just, yeah, it's the same kind of like a story. I have a friend of mine who often say like thumb tip. Right now, everyone knows about a thumb tip. Everyone knows about it. It's like, oh, the thumb tip, because it's exposed online. But my friend
Right.
would say like he uses the thumb tip all the time, and people would, and there are a few stories where people come up to him. It's like, I know this thing about like thumb tip and stuff, and he will do a thumb tip, like a trick with a thumb tip for them specifically, and they wouldn't even know a thumb tip was used. So like people don't know there's levels to the game.
For sure.
Yeah, and so I'm not too afraid. To me, maybe it's a good thing where, like, people are sharing some stuff online, because that gets people interested, maybe, and right now magic is just getting more and more popular. It's good
Right.
for us, good for everyone. I think people enjoy it, so be it. People can, yeah, learn
There's
it for
so many
free,
different
people can pay.
arguments when it comes to magic exposure, right? I mean,
Yeah,
me
yeah.
personally, I try not to do anything on shorts or reels or anything like that because,
Mm,
in terms of teaching, because I feel Um, that could be exposure where a long form video, somebody would
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
sit down and watch
Yes.
this, 15 to 30-minute video to really
Yeah.
understand what's going on.
Mm.
But I can see the argument on both sides because it
Yeah,
does get
yeah.
people interested in magic, and
Yeah.
some of those people end up, continuing and going further from the little
Yeah.
things they learn.
For sure, for sure. It's like it's hard. I think a lot of magicians have this thing. Even for me, I'm like at the beginning, many years ago, I was like, oh man, I don't like people sharing stuff with YouTube and like. But then I'm like, I'm kind of a hypocrite because when I first started out, I was like devouring all the YouTube stuff. I was
Exactly.
like, I was like, if without the
And
YouTube guys, I don't know how fast I would have caught up like magic that I know. I'll be slowly reading through the books and like, I don't even know what books to get. And 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 so the YouTube people helped quite a bit. So and then after I got to the next stage, I'm like, screw this YouTube guys, and then, and then I'm like, what am I doing? And then now I'm like in a more neutral state. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, it's cool, everything. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's a double-edged sword too, because you can be
yeah,
following someone who's setting a bad example. And
yeah.
so if you find people who are performing really good sleight of hand, those are probably the people you want to learn from. They're going to teach you the right way. Um,
Yeah.
I always one of the people that I would suggest that I find that you can find free stuff on YouTube is Alex Pandrea. He sort of left the industry.
Ah,
He's another success story, who's
yes.
been so successful that he doesn't do YouTube anymore or even perform magic anymore because he's become so successful. He's moved
Mm.
on to doing financial. Funny enough, he does a lot of financial stuff. So you might be interested
Ah.
in looking at his other channel about finances, which is pretty
Oh my
interesting.
gosh.
Yeah.
I
So,
didn't expect that. It's like, yeah, it's same like Andre Jake. I don't know if you've heard of that guy.
uh,
Andre Jake is this crazy cardist guy. Like he was like part of the OG cardistry people. Is like he was the consultant behind the Now You See Me videos,
okay.
movies, and then but he currently runs one one of the largest finance channels on YouTube. He has millions of followers on YouTube. That is his main thing now, and he's doing super multi millionaire now. Is like but every now and then in his video he would do some cardistry stuff, and people were like, "What? You're a magician?" Like,
What's going on here?
yeah, it's like yeah, same thing. It's like I don't know how far back you've seen like Peter McKinnon as well. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
Peter McKinnon.
Yeah. I
So
know Peter
he
McKinnon.
started
Yeah.
out a magician as well, and then now he's like one of the biggest like uh like videographer, photographer type thing, and one of the biggest names on YouTube for it. So the
Blows
same
my
thing, and then
mind.
he pulls out a deck of cards, and people are like, wait, what? You know magic as well? Yeah,
Yeah. These people are definitely product of their success, and it's wild because you really can transition and go wherever you want. Magic is a beautiful bridge to get there.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Ah,
Oh man. All right. I think we have been on here for nearly. What time is it?
two and
Hold
a
on.
half.
Yeah, about 2.5 hours. It looks like
Crazy.
maybe almost three. Man,
Oh
I
yeah,
really
actually,
enjoyed talking to you. Uh, we got to do this again
likewise.
sometime.
Yeah,
You
no, it's
are
great.
one. You have very quickly become one of my favorite magicians, and
Oh
I say
man.
that wholeheartedly. I do mean it. I
Ah,
saw it
thank
from
you.
the instant I saw your first videos. I was like, "There's something. This guy has something. I really like the way he thinks. I wanna learn more." So once again, I'm gonna plug
Ah,
the Magician's Path. If you want to
yes.
learn more thinking and um, beautiful, creation of routines, right? And the beautiful thinking
Yep.
behind it, and not just learn sleights and be a move monkey. Don't be a move monkey. Okay, learn more than just the sleights. It'll get you way further in magic. And to that, I leave you the last word.
Well, I guess say thank you very much for having me. It was so easy to talk to you. I think a great interview. It doesn't even feel like an interview. It felt like a chat
Thank you.
with
I
a friend,
appreciate
you
it.
know, which is great because very often I think it feels like interview asking questions, but it felt like I was just hanging out with you. So that's great.
That's
Yeah,
that's something I try to do. I
yeah.
try to make it very impromptu. I never write down the questions. I never think about what I'm going to ask ahead of time,
Oh,
which is a whole different thing from how other people do it.
that's actually a
So
really good
I'm trying to be
skill.
a little different. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
trying to
for
be a
sure.
little impromptu.
Yeah, all the best with your channel as well. And yeah,
Thank you.
what I like is that you are also very passionate about magic. You love magic. You're staying up and losing sleep because of this.
You know what? It's worth it. I'll I'll
Oh
I'll,
my
I'll do it
gosh.
for magic. I'll make the sacrifice.
Oh man, but thank you very much. We can end here
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we're gonna stay in contact. We've got a lot to talk about, and
for sure.
maybe you'll come back.
Yes, yes, for sure.
All right. Oh
See you,
man, you have a
see you,
good one,
Brendan.
brother.
You
All
too.
right.
Bye.